kind of thoughts about the Tekken talk after watching it. And Fee, I'm gonna start with you, bro. I mean, you watched it. What were your general thoughts about it?
It was a very, very impactful presentation for sure. It left an impression. I will say that the Anna presentation was pretty cool. I thought that the adaptation
I'm not
of
joking.
the character. I always have said that as much as I don't like fighting against like Anna or don't like fighting against like Lei and Julia, I started.
You know
in
how
Tekken
easy
3,
it is to
so I
find
think
stuff
these
like that
characters
out.
always
Just go through
belong
the
in Tekken.
credits,
There's a Nina, there's gotta
see
be
who
Anna,
is
you
on
know what I mean?
the
So,
on the game
I'm excited
design,
to see her come back in
and
general.
then try to pull out their
I think
CVs. And then you will
addition of an
realize who
extra
they
stance
worked
kinda
on.
lines up with her
All the
character.
people,
So,
for
in
some
general, when it comes to
reason,
new stances,
that are working now on Tekken are coming from failed games. And the lead game designer is coming from a failed franchise. Soul Calibur doesn't even exist anymore. And they want to tell me that we cannot call out the team directly, specifically. Why?
You can tell they're paying attention to the defensive things that we're looking for.
But they is wrong, to
And
be
then I
fair,
think the
only
shock
Joker
factor
said
came
that,
from,
and that's why I'm
to
saying
those
this.
defensive adjustments that show kind of they are paying attention and they're in touch with what people are asking. They also added a bunch of buffs that kind of went in what we perceive to be the other direction. So again, disclaimer, we need to see all the patch notes and see
I
how
try
everything
to be not
interacts,
aggressive.
But it was kind of shocking
Wallah,
to
I'm
see,
trying
like,
to not
a
be
bit of,
aggressive.
like a
I'm
nugget of
trying,
what we
really.
were looking for. And then
This
a
is as
swing
much as
into
I
the
can
other
do. This
direction.
is
We were
like
whoa, wait. Are
my
we
calmest
buffing
version.
defense? Are we buffing offense? What are we doing? I think everybody was confused based on prior messaging. So that was my takeaway. I think that was my audience's takeaway. We were just it was a lot of whiplash.
Yeah, a lot of back and
Yo,
forth.
Saba, who gives a fuck what Joker says? No, that's not true. People give a fuck what Joker says. But this is
let me word this well.
Apart from like differences, or even if every single individual here doesn't like me, yeah, this fucking situation we are in now, we can only come out of it as a community. And if then we start to like gaslight each other and try to like virtue signal at this point now, bro, this shit is fried. That's all I'm saying. The community needs to put their fucking differences aside for one fucking time and just focus on the fucking team that is destroying their hobby. You wanna tell me you wanna play Tekken for the for the rest of the Tekken 8 lifespan? You wanna go into this direction? Like, even if you make money with it, I make money too. But it's not worth it like that.
Stance, which is plus 12 on block, and they made the low unseeable out of it, and then they showed Anna doing the safe the plus on block low for 64 damage, while acknowledging the lack of counterplay. By the way, you can't punish it, you know what I mean? So it was a very weird thing to have them kind of acknowledge what people were looking for. And then maybe it does exist in the patches. I don't know yet. We haven't seen the patch yet. But for them to acknowledge it and then not show it, and then the response to the outrage afterwards was confusing because they kind of acknowledged that people wanted to see something different, and then they showed us something off. It was all kind of weird to me. So I don't think the Tekken talk was particularly good, but I don't know if season 2 is good or bad yet.
I see. Okay, Joker, what's your opinion on that?
So my opinion on the
I don't know if season 2 okay, I don't know if season 2 is gonna be good or bad. Okay, listen, no matter how much they nerf other things, they buff other things also. They just move the goalpost. When they nerf Jin, they give him free for other things. When they nerf King, they give him free for other unreasonable things. It's like continuously, you cannot complain about this anymore, but we create something else. And when you start to complain about that, then you are never happy with anything. It's a gaslighting technique. They don't want to go away from this. And when you guys do this, like, yeah, we don't know if it's gonna be bad. Let me ask you something. Okay? Do you need to put shit in your mouth to know that it will taste bad? Or will you see shit and be like, yeah, I'm not touching that? The same goes for Tekken 8, this talk. When they show you this shit, you can believe it tastes like shit. yeah, wait till you play the game. Why would I wait? I already can see what they are doing.
So the Anna segment, it was interesting. I feel like when I was watching the Anna segment, I kind of just zoned out, and then they hit us with the character changes.
Yo, yes, what's up?
Which were crazy because I feel like some of the character changes were good, like Jin, for instance, and then they showed us so many buffs for some reason. Now,
Exactly.
I think something I need to mention is like what Speedkick said. We can't really make too much of a judgment based on the Tekken talk
Okay.
because, of course, it's a presentation. They're limited on time. There's only so much they can show, and they're gonna show like new moves. They're not gonna show like frame nerfs or like.
This doesn't make sense. And I will explain why. Okay? How is it possible that they don't have much time, okay? And in that much time, where they foreshadow that they wanna buff defense, they only show offense. And then he will say, yeah, but the people wanna see new fancy moves and I don't know the demographic that is watching. Habibi. No casual fucking random player that just plays this game 1 hour a week and doesn't give a shit will watch fucking Tekken Talk live. This is just out of touch, this point of view. The people that consume this are people like you and me and our close viewers on Twitch and YouTube, and not some random people. So there is no point to say, yeah, they just want to show some new cool moves and stuff. No, this dev talk was to explain to the people, hey, we understood your sentiment. The game is going into a dog shit direction. Here are the defensive options. But no, I see fucking I-16 low counter hit joint for 64 damage. Jin gets buffed. Homing. Blue spark. Chip damaging. Throw. Giant swing. And shining wizard. And every character gets now the low heat smash for some reason as a standard heat move. And I don't know, man. Like, they can gaslight themselves, but
Properties of moves being changed and whatnot. So yeah, I don't think the Tekken Talk was a good idea in my opinion. Like, I think they showed the wrong things, especially when they dropped the Evo video a day before the Tekken Talk and they don't show any of that. I think that was so strange, and I think it wasn't what the community was expecting. We didn't want to see all these buffs to characters and whatnot. And yeah, I'm just like, I'll be honest with you, I think I'm scared, but I'm still optimistic because we still have so many changes we're yet to see. I mean, they said it's a very big patch.
Ramadan Kareem.
It's a new season. There's still time before Evo Japan. But yeah, I am scared shitless right now, and we're gonna see what happens.
Kwis, do you agree with that? It seems like from what Fee, Speakers, and Joker have said, is that you know, based on kind of the Evo video and just kind of the lead up to that Tekken Talk, which has been a conversation about, you know, defense and how they realized that offense was maybe a little bit too strong and a bit too much focus on offense, that they needed to focus on the defensive elements, and they you know, they brought in the sidestep from crouch and other such changes, and maybe people were expecting to see one thing but saw another thing. Is that kind of your opinion as well? And what did you take away from the Tekken Talk?
Oh yeah, it definitely felt like a bit of whiplash. Because again, the day before, they mentioned so much about defense being important and sidesteps being changed, and so many, like, these are huge changes, like being able to step into the foreground from crouch. And then they mentioned something, like Nakatsu said something about when you're grounded, you take 30% less damage or something. That I can't even remember what it was, something like that about 30%
Sonntag auf Montag, yeah.
Recover the life.
Ich glaube schon.
Well, that's something. It sounds weird. I want to see.
Now, this is the funny thing, bro, Big Nose. We get this patch for Eid.
In the Tekken Talk, like you're surely gonna talk about that, right? Like, I was really waiting for them to talk about the defense stuff in Tekken Talk because there was so much mention. This 30% thing, like, it sounds like a huge change. Like, surely it's something you want to champion for next season, but they didn't mention it. But
Worst Eid
yeah,
gift.
overall,
Wallah.
the Tekken Talk, my feeling.
Listen, I think we will end up in a situation where we say season 1 was the peak of Tekken 8. The way it's going, really. I am not even kidding, bro. They will just exchange some dog shit for other dog shit. Leave us alone. We don't need season 2, bro. Let us just play the season 1 shit, bro.
I want to see the patch notes bro, I make like a big decision, but like it was
Wallah, it is
the
crazy,
things that
man.
I saw, I wasn't a fan of. Is the best way. Like some like the Jin nurse up 4-2 is unsafe, 2-1-4 is unsafe. They had me for a second, and then they were like now running 3 into 50-50 stance mix-ups, and it's like it's more of the stuff that we haven't been a fan of for most of the time. And
So this is the thing that I need to point out, which is very important. So he acknowledges rightfully that the characters somehow tend to go into this I have a stance and then a mix. This is Nakatsu's handwriting. I looked it up, I went into it, I looked him up, I looked his like development up, I looked up what the people have said in the past about him. There is people in Japan hating this guy because they say his whole gameplay philosophy is stance mix-up. Even before he started to work as a lead developer for Tekken 8. So this like, I do stance mix-up, install and giving a copy paste Yoshimitsu move from Soul Calibur to fucking Yoshimitsu now in Tekken 8 Season 2 and homing throws is a thing of Soul Calibur. If you want to accept it or not, if you want to deny it or not. So if you want these things to change, you have to call out the person that is doing it. Why is everyone so relaxed on going shitting on Michael Murray and shitting on Harada? But when the real culprit is shown, they say, yeah, we shouldn't go too hard on one individual, and you know, maybe it gets better. That doesn't make sense, bro. That guy deserves to get some backlash. You have to understand culture in Japan. Company culture in Japan works the following. You can't just kick someone out. Okay, you can't just fire someone, especially not in the lead design of the game. It's frowned upon in Japan. They need to put, for lower level workers, they need to put them in empty rooms, and you can Google that. So they say that I don't want to work here anymore, so they don't get fired. That's why I'm trying to bring awareness to the situation of who is at fault here. You may want to believe it or not, but you can look it up yourself. These problems that we are facing is because of Nakatsu.
you know, heat engages is still plus 17. I thought that's something they might address. And then it's like it brings a lot of things into question, because like with heat engages still plus 17, when Anna heat engages, she can now do the running low, and you can't low parry it, so it's just free chip damage wherever it hits. That's a free 60
Do you
damage.
think Anna will have a stance mix-up? Yeah, sure.
Kizaru Amena Godum.
Not only will she have a stance mix-up, thank you for the prime, bro. Not only will she have a stance mix-up, but also you got to understand that the development of this game is so lazy that when a character has a problem, for example Devil Jin's Heaven's Gate, they will rather nerf the entirety of the system rather than fix the one move. Same goes for Key Charge. Instead of fixing the individual move, they will remove the system overall. And the same goes for implementing a new one. When a character gets a full crouch mix-up after a heat dash, which could be quote-unquote character specific, they change the characters to a way that everyone can do it. So when they implement something new, they make everyone do it, and when they take something away, they take it away from everyone. And this is just... You guys know I'm saying the truth. You know it. And another thing that I find just so crazy is the doubling down continuously on bad decision making. Let's say it like this. Harada said himself, when I implemented taunt and I thought it would be cool to cancel it, I would have never imagined how the people would use it on Brian. Then I wanted to remove it and explain to the people that I didn't intend this. But then everyone said, don't. This is cool. And eventually they kept it. But now this is so weird for me, this situation where everyone is complaining about chip damage, okay? People are saying we want to have good defense. They implement a system which is anti-defending, so essentially I get punished for blocking, which is just nonsensical. This whole idea of chip damage is nonsensical. If 2 free characters have it as a character identity and have huge drawbacks somewhere else, maybe it would make sense, but not the way they do it here. First of all, yeah, these like sweeping changes for the system, which make the game way too convoluted and makes no sense. But then they double down and give Anna a mid-forward jumping, unreactable, chip damaging 2-hit string, which then gives me a debuff. And then every move she does chip damage, and I am forced to attack back to get her out of it. Where is there the enforcement or the appreciation of our feedback and the implementation of such in the game? This is Nakatsu.
It's just not recoverable, and it's like it feels like they make certain decisions in a vacuum and don't look at how it's gonna affect the entire game. But again, I'm only seeing the Tekken talk in the vacuum. I'm not seeing the entire patch notes and what it means for the rest of the game. You know, there's still a time for them to change heat engages from plus 17. I doubt it, but there's always time. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. From what I'm hearing from you guys and from what I've seen on Twitter as well, is that because based on what has been shown, it was not expected, because again, the conversation was a lot about defense leading up to Tekken Talk, but then they showed some things which showed a lot more kind of 50-50s and buffs to characters that maybe people weren't so happy with, right? So it kind of surprised people. But like you said, Kwist, and I think someone else said it as well, Joker, I think, like, let's say for example Jin, right? He got this new buff. If you look at that if you isolate that and look at that just as it is now and consider season 1 Jin and look at that buff, you think that is crazy. But what if, and this is just me playing devil's advocate, what if there are other changes? Because obviously again there's 1500 changes to these characters, right? What if the rest of the changes to Jin were just nerfs to the point where like that Jin actually deserved that buff in a way? What do you think, Speed?
I think maybe a problem, even if the other things do get nerfed, I think the problem that personally I have with the game, and I think a lot of people have with the game, even though I really like the game, it's not a matter of what wins or loses, right? I think a lot of what gets talked about is, oh, this character is too strong, or this style of play is too strong, and there's a lot of different ways you can change a game so that one person playing a certain way wins or loses. My problem isn't Jin being strong or Jin being weak, or aggression being strong or aggression being weak. It's the type of aggression that they want us to do, right? It's the way we interact. I'm an aggressive player. I love the shift from Tekken 7 to Tekken 8. I still say season 1 Tekken 8 I liked a lot more than the last seasons of Tekken 7. And the first ones, the problem is, even though I'm interacting more, the interactions can get a lot cheaper. There's a lot less decisions being made while attacking in this game than attacking in previous games, right? And that comes from removing options. That comes from my opponent not being able to sidestep my stuff. Instead of there being a layer of options of counterplay I can work with, right? It's just mid or low. And I'm like super plus. I don't have to worry about the counter hit timings. I don't have to worry about the sidestep timings. And it just makes it so that even though I'm fighting my opponent, I'm still bored.
You know what they do when they, for example, these bastards. You know when they say, for example, a character doesn't have a good low, you know what they do? They just give the character a high homing, unblockable. And then you need to duck for the high, and then you guess between the high and the mid. What's the difference there? Between a mid and a low and a high unblockable and a fucking mid. Best example, Heihachi. He doesn't need a low when he has a fucking high guard break. I think guard breaks are probably one of the shittest things in the game. one of them. There's many shit things, but you have to see if we like defending, if we like blocking and being patient, then a guard break is definitely against that.
And so when
and then
they talk
here comes the funniest part. Not only is the guard break safe on block, so like safe on block. Like the guard break, you have no drawback. You either duck it and you can launch him, or you don't duck it and you get hit, right? But then the mid needs to be punishable normally. Then the mid is only like what, -11? And then he has an install for no particular reason, even though that situation is already completely broken. And then they make the mid -9. And then they give him also a punch parry. And they want to tell me this is now a reasonable fucking decision making. If you have this type of decision making, you write this down on paper, you put it into the game, then I can definitely start to lose complete faith in the developers. And if people still try to gaslight themselves as if they are trying to do reasonable stuff, guys, when they do these bullshit things, they do it on purpose. Didn't you realize that yet? The problem is the fact that they do it on purpose, not that they do it by accident and then it can get fixed. No, they want it to be like this.
About making the game more aggressive and making sure that it's an aggressive type of game. I hear that they want people to keep attacking and still win, but I would like it for them to make it so that it's aggressive, often like attacker favored, but there's still more layers there for us to play with. And the Jin change, right? They're running 3 into the stance. That's not really something that shows me a lot of counterplay. It shows me more guessing, right? It's plus 12, right? The heat engage being plus 17 on hit. It's not a lot of counterplay. Cool. The attacker can now duck and do full crash moves, right? They even said that they saw us playing the game and always doing the same move after heat engage, so they wanted us to mix it up.
Right.
The reason we did the same thing after heat engage is because when you're plus 17, there's not much to do for both players, right? If I was less plus, but still plus, still in my favor, right? As the attacker, I'm still favored. I'm still incentivized to be the attacker. But if my opponent could sidestep, if my opponent could do parries, if they could power crush, right? If they had the frames to do that, then I would have to mix up my offense more, and there'd be more layers and more thought between both players while still being attacker favored, right? So the changes they showed they didn't give the community any hope that there was going to be more thoughtful offense, right? It's not, we're not mad because the attackers are winning still. We're mad because we want more gameplay, right? And more gameplay is enabled when you reduce some of the power of his offensive stuff, some of the coverage of his offensive stuff. Not power. Let's not say power, right? Because you can still be very strong, but when it shuts out the defender entirely, there's not much gameplay happening.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree with you. I think this is a conversation I had when I was at the EU Cup with some of the players. If you make heat engage at plus 10 from plus 17, you still have a considerable advantage, but the options that the defender has are a lot more than if there's plus 17. There's the potential to maybe sidestep a running 3 or parry a down forward 1, and all these, and that plays into the mind game where it's like, okay, I have options here. If I see my opponent kind of defaulting to the same option as the defender, I can actually do something to beat that. But at plus 17 or at minus 17, I actually can't do anything. So I 100% agree with you there. Fee, do you agree with that as well?
Yeah, I think that that was my main concern watching the Anna reveal, where the first move they pitched is a homing high, right? A range 4 homing high, plus 4 on block, knockdown into follow-up. I don't care that the follow-up is like relatively low damage. I mean, it's a chunk, right? But it's not like a combo, right? I don't care that the damage is what it is. If it's higher, if it's lower, it's whatever. It's what are both players doing in the neutral game because that move exists.
Okay.
Right? And then to complement that move, they've given her a mid safe string that I can assume, based on them showing the first move, is that it's sidesteppable. But Tekken isn't just, are they doing the linear move? Are they doing the homing move? Let me sidestep or stand block. Are they doing the mid or the low? Let me stand block or duck. I always call back to like how I think, as much as I hate fighting him, I think Kazuya's design is kind of elegant because they made all of his moves, more or less, with a few exceptions, walkable to the left. So, especially when you look back at older Tekken, now we're playing a game on, are you sidestepping or did I get you to sit still and then do I get to mix you up? There's like these extra layers on top of it outside of just, is this the time I pick option A or is this the time I pick option B? And my disappointment and kind of, I guess, where a lot of my frustration was coming from was how it feels like a lot of the characters are turning into that Anna design, right? A lot of characters are given really, really strong option that forces you to pick one thing, alternative option that covers the weaknesses of the first thing in a very binary way, right? And obviously, again, we'd want to see, is the movement much better that, you know, you get some extra defensive options against, like, say, the mid string. They showed Jin jab interrupting the new Zafina mid string that's now safe, right? But and there might be elegant fixes there that a high level player or a upper intermediate player will be able to exploit that leads to some cool depth. But again, just from what we were shown, it felt like a very much like, here's my gigantic homing mid, here is my straight up and down mid, and now we will deal with these two things. And it felt very like the game could still be fun, the game could even be more balanced, but to me, balance isn't everything. It's like, are the interactions we're having dynamic? Are they interesting? Are they layered?
Good point. You know, sometimes you call out a character and you hate him, and then the people will start to, that play the character most of the time, they will start to say this defensive coping mechanism. Yeah, but the character isn't even S tier. There is much more broken characters in this game. Well, what you didn't realize is that people don't only think by tiers, but of fun, you know? And some characters' game philosophy is not fun to play against. Ling Xiaoyu is one example, but she has been in the game for a very long time and had kind of this identity, so I can let that slide. But with a character that had an interesting identity like Lydia, the way they implemented Lydia now in this game, no one is saying Lydia is OP'd in comparison to anyone else. But what the people don't appreciate is it's not fun to fight against that. And when you have a problem of not fun to fight against, this is not a cope, it's just called bad game design. Who is designing it? His name is Nakatsu. You're welcome.
Deep.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge to try and appeal to the players trying to push that and appeal to new people coming in, but it is a challenge I have a lot of investment in hoping that they answer, because I think keeping the higher level players engaged long term is really healthy, and I think that's an important priority.
Right, absolutely. Kawis, what's your thoughts on this as well? You know, like, obviously everyone's hoping that in season 2 there's going to be a few more options for the defender. You know, just to make the mind game a little bit more complicated and a bit more fun, even if the aggressor still has a ton of options. What's your takeaway on this?
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Especially
Damn, you
like
really
what
hate that
Speak
guy.
said
Who?
there, because it made me think.
Nakatsu? Of course, I don't like the game design, and he is the game designer. 1 + 1 is 2.
Well, Alyssa post heat engage. What's Alyssa gonna do every single time after heat engage? Destroy a forward 1 + 2.
Thank you, Tekken.
Because there's no reason not to do anything else. It's +5. It does crazy chip damage, and then you just have to block that, and now you're minus again and go from there. Like there's no. And then again, if you're in like a end of round little bit of health situation, then they just do the low, and it's like, well, of course I didn't duck. You have this mid right here. Of course I didn't duck. It's like just giving the defender options, and you get to, because again, if you look at that situation, every Alyssa player does it. You can't tell the difference between the best Alyssa players in the world, a mid Alyssa player, and someone who just started, because there's no reason for them not all to do this one move. It's so over.
Very good point. In Tekken 7, when I watch Jin, I can tell who plays without seeing the character, like without seeing the handle, without seeing his name on an overlay. If it is CBM, I can tell. If it is Daniel Mado, I can tell. If it is, like, you see they play differently. They utilize a different style. They have a different timing. They have a different type of movement. Atif also. But in Tekken 8, everything is so streamlined. There is no point for player expression, because if you express yourself in a different way than route A and B, you play unoptimal. Does that make sense to you? This is how bad the gameplay design is. They claim they want to give you more depth. They claim they want to give you more player expression. But at the same time, how do they argue they want to give you more player expression? By making you able to use Heat Smash in more situations. And he literally said that. I'm not making this up. Now you can do Heat Smash from stance. Wow. Thank you so much, Nakatsu-san. We wanted the heat to be a little bit less encompassing and infiltrating in every aspect of the gameplay, and they give us more? We say we want more defensive options. You know what Nakatsu thought? Okay, how can I give them more defensive options but with heat? If you maintain heat and don't spend it, you can recover 30% of your health. That's not defense, Nakatsu. That's drinking and flask and Eustace and Elden Ring.
Out in this situation, that just toning some of that down, giving us creative freedom to mix something up, or like that's what I really enjoy about Tekken, is like the layer 2. Like once you've beaten this option, how do you get to the next level? How do you stop me from there, right? Like I've stopped this, what do you do to beat me stopping this? And if you don't do it, I'm just gonna win from there. Like it's the forcing adaptation. But the way it is now, I always why he engaged at plus 17 is I'm gonna do the same option every single time, and there's nothing you can do to stop me from doing it. Like to me, that it's just unfun at the end of the day, because I know exactly what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it. Like that doesn't feel fair.
I see. Okay, Joker, what do you take on that? I mean, I agree. Just to let you know, Clavis, I agree with that. You know, obviously, if you have a mid option which is plus and gives us chip damage and allows you to continue your offense, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, why wouldn't you just go for that? And you know, if your opponent happens to duck, well, that's a lot of reward for you. But duck or not, you're getting rewarded either way. You know, whatever happens, you're gonna get rewarded. Joker, what do you make about that? I guess we're talking a lot about heat engages here, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything that was just said from everyone. Something I wanted to talk about was like the chip part. Now they said they wanted to reduce chip, but it feels like Anna has like a whole mechanic, which is the debuff or whatever it is, which focuses on chip, and I think that's not necessarily a good thing as well, because in heat she deals more chip when she's in that debuff state as well, when the opponent's debuffed. I don't like that at all. And in general, like some of the new moves we saw are just crazy, man. Like we're seeing half screen mids that are potentially homing. We're seeing moves go into stance, which is again enhancing the 50-50 situation like 3DX mentioned. I'm not a fan, but again, I'm gonna wait to make my judgment until I actually try the game and, you know, lab it for myself, because I think it's important. I feel like something I said on my stream was there's a difference between reading a patch note and feeling it for yourself. What I mean by feel is like labbing it for yourself. Like, you know, for instance, Tekken 7 Season 2, I still remember when that Wallbands trailer dropped, man, and everyone was losing their shit. And when we actually played it, we were like, you know, it's not too bad, you know, it could have been worse.
You know what I started to realize with the Tekken community? Imagine it like this. There's content creators and pro players that are content creators also. And there is layers to the closeness of them to Bandai Namco. Okay? I'm not trying to make this in a way that I want to give them shit. I want to say something else. And I'm gonna take FDX and Speedkicks for an example. A guy like me has a very large following, and I have a lot of viewers. Everyone knows that. So I have an impact. I can say things more harshly than they. And I don't expect them to say it the way I do. Not at all. But what I do expect is that when they work close to Bandai Namco and they need to slightly sugarcoat it, at least don't punch down to the people that have not to do that. because we are working with you. We are not working against you. When I'm speaking very harshly or I use my own way of emphasizing the problems in this game, I'm doing this with a very deep thought process, even if you don't want to believe it. I am just abusing my standing in the community, the fact that I have nothing to do with the inner circle of the community, so that I can say everything the way like it is, or I see it, or the majority of the people see it in a very harsh tone, because that is needed sometimes too. And then it goes one level up, and then you have like someone like Joker. He can have the mediator part, you know? He can be in between. He can acknowledge the flaws, but try to still pander towards, hey, you know, but this is still good, and this is still good, and that is still good, which is absolutely fine. And then you have the highest level, which is like the main man, and they are like literally buddy with Harada and Murray, understandable. And when we say shilling, we don't say they shill because they want more money for a tweet. We are saying that because we say they cannot say what they think because they don't want to mess up future opportunities, which is just completely logical and fine. The only problem arises when they punch down towards the people that don't have to do that. If everyone would stick to his role, if the main man and Fee would just make the content for the entry level of fighting game players, for the entry level of Tekken players, the first interaction with the Tekken community, they see, hey, this is a cool vibe, this is a guide, that is what is a sidestep, this is what is a option select, but instead, they will pick up what the people from down there say, which is justified, but from a different standpoint, for a deeper community, for a more invested community. And then they will bring up situations like, Tekken 8 is bad. Okay, but Tekken 7 was worse. And then make a whole stream about how Tekken 7 is actually way worse, and Tekken blah 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 and blah blah blah, and try to make us look like complete dickheads for no particular reason. And that's why I don't know even how to explain that to them. Let me do the way I do it, you do the way you do it, and the main man and Fee, they can keep on doing what they do, and no one calls you shill unless you start to attack us without having a point. Do your normal content for the people, and if you think something is controversial, at least don't say anything, because we are right. Don't say anything. No one is gonna say anything to you. No one is gonna say you are a shill. No one is gonna call you like speed shills or feedy shill or fucking the main shill or whatnot. I heard everything. And then we can together as a community in different layers try to put this situation into the right limelight.
And I pray that that's the same case for this whole presentation. I'm just gonna wait to see what happens, but yeah, from what we've seen so far, it's scary, man. It's scary times.
Yeah, it's scary. Go on, sorry.
One thing that also stood out to me, not just in option coverage and how that kind of these really, really strong mix-up situations, especially off the heat engage, kind of force a very stale mode of play. I also felt that when they were showing the character changes, the two things that kind of also felt restricting were the emphasis on attack that goes into stance and then stance offense. And then we gave the Jin example. It's not just that the running through goes into stance, it's that they make his low less reactable, 24 to 21. It's that Azucena now gets the full crouch low that's +5 in his stance. She has a frame trap option. She probably has a tracking option, right? Like the way that game is being pushed is in this very stance heavy direction. I asked a question like a thought experiment, like if I'm the kind of player that doesn't want to use stances, doesn't want to use like a buff or an install, who do I pick? And the only answer I think was like Kazuya. And he is a very high execution character, right? So I think that there is obviously to the people that it appeals to, it's going to be pretty cool because like you can pick up any character. They're going to have this very clear flow of find my big hit, go into stance, put.
You know what? I have a problem with this situation of specialist characters. How many characters do we have in this game right now? Like 35 minimum plus DLC, right? So there is so many easy characters, yeah. For 37 plus DLC, yeah, 35 plus DLC. There's so many easy characters to choose from. And Bandai Namco is still not satisfied, and they be like, okay, let's pick the hardest characters in the game and make them accessible too. Why? For what reason? And one of the examples I can give you is, for example, Kaz. Why does Kazuya have an auto electric? Why is DSS now auto DSS? Why does Taunt now have Taunt heat smash buffer? So you fuck up the opponents when you are successful, which is pretty easy. And if you fuck it up, you do it with extra steps. You are plus what, 15 or something, and then you kill him after. Heihachi is also so easy to play, I can't believe it. All these characters that made it like you have a branch of characters for people that are more invested and want to put in the time, and you take that away from them and homogenize everything to pander towards an audience that, in my humble opinion, does not even exist. But that is a different topic.
My offense, but it feels that that's becoming maybe the only way to play. And then my other concern, aside from the attack stance, is that characters who kind of felt designed around particular weaknesses seem to be, again, because we have to see everything, seem to be getting those buffed out. I looked at Reina's new low that on counter hit goes in this evasive low that goes under like highs and mids. And they showed a lot of moves that were like going under highs and kind of like getting around the opponent's attempts to defend outside of just guessing.
Yeah.
Nakatsu
I
is the
felt
lead
like
game
Raina was
designer, Habibi.
as crazy as her
All the
moveset
changes
is,
that
I
you
actually,
see
like,
from
enjoy that
homing
they had
throws
this
and
vision with
stances,
her,
it comes from Soul
insane
Calibur.
mids, insane highs, fast poking, so much control, electric wind.
You can't
dodge,
prove it
top
because
kicks,
he's
she
the
can do,
lead
like,
game
everything.
designer.
Yeah.
But if she goes low, it's a bit of a commitment. And I kind of like that exchange. Now it feels like, again, we don't know how this new low works fully, but just the idea of a low that is kind of evasive. It looks like she can poke from far away. It leads into stance off. I felt really weird about changes like that. That she can heat smash twice from Heaven's Wrath with a new low. It felt like they
The
saw
main man
this
said if you
weakness
use the word toxic
and
positivity, you
to
need to go
help
get
people who
outside.
enjoy Raina, but
No. No, not at all. Because as you have left and right, you have positive and negative. You can be too negative, okay, fair enough, but you can be too positive too. If there is a too negative situation, then you can also be too positive. If you gaslight yourself into positivity, if there is a reason to be negative, then that's toxic.
didn't figure out how to
So, yeah, the main man, you should go outside maybe.
navigate that weakness. They started patching it up. And that general trend, I think, is how we get a lot of power creep. We get a lot of eventually frustrating designs. That's the biggest thing that concerned me, was the idea of seeing a character's weakness and patching it over. You know?
Yeah. And there's something, you remember a while ago when people were talking about that buff over nerf philosophy, right? Where the idea is we feel a loss to something a lot worse than we enjoy, like the gains, right? So it feels a lot better to, it feels a lot worse to lose something than it does to gain something, or like the goodness of gaining something, if that makes sense. I feel like there's a lot with that when it comes to trying to from Bandai Namco's perspective, right? They want to appeal to people when they make these Tekken talks, when they show off this stuff. They come up with these new ideas. They want the game to look cool, so they're like, "Hey, here's this new thing you can do." But something I think I would really like for them to understand is when you show off something new, that as a buff, a new move, something that removes the counterplay from your character, right? It's actually more of a gameplay removal than it is an addition, because they are showing the rest of us who don't play that character everything we can't do now, right?
Right.
And on the other side, if they were to show us, oh, hey, you can step this move now, right? Maybe, okay, cool. If you can step Demon Paw easier, right? Let's say that The Jin players get a little bit more upset, right? Okay, cool. Their move got a little bit weaker, but for the rest of us, we're seeing more gameplay. Yes. Okay, before when that move came on the screen, I just had to block. Now I can do this or that, right? It's an addition for us by nerfing the move, right? So it's the way the game works. A lot of the super strong stuff, they shut the opponent out of the game. So when they show us counterplay, when they give us new counterplay, when they give us new defense, they're actually showing the rest of us a lot more new additions to the game.
Right, absolutely. I think that's why the sidestep from crouch mechanic that they introduced was a very good one. I think because that does give everybody else more options. Let's say, for example, Asuka is a great option there, because if you're on if you were on P1, if she does down back 3, if you try to, the only way you can sidestep is left. If you sidestep left, you're going to get hit by another down back 3. Now you can be on both P1 and P2, and if you can sidestep right no matter what, and you'll be able to sidestep a second down back 3. It prevents her from being able to loop that offense, right? So you know, even though that actually provides us as a defender more options. And I guess what you're saying is, if you nerf the demon paw, then it makes the Jin player have to think a little bit more, you know. It's not a do-all kind of move, and I have more options as a defender. So sometimes in Tekken, less is more, and that's why nerfs, and that's why the community has been asking for nerfs, right? I believe that's kind of what you're getting at, right, Speed?
Yeah.
Also, one thing that I just realized, I remembered again. Kazuya's identity was with having a 1 frame faster electric than everyone else. And they did the unthinkable. They gave every Mishima a perfect electric. Can you imagine that? You know this is not right. And I'm not saying that because, oh, you are a Kazuya fanboy or something. Honestly, those types of people, orangutan brains, they can just leave, but whatever they do is just to homogenize everything. They say they want to help you with your expression and character expression. Not only character specific expression, but player expression. But effectively, they do the opposite. They say A, but they do B all the time. But with majority of their talking points, just try to really imagine you have a mirror in your hand, okay? And then listen to what they say. Put the mirror on and think the opposite, and then actually play the game, and you will realize that whatever they say, they do something else.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about the power or, oh, I can't win against Jin. I can win against every Jin anyway. The problem is that there's very little fun things to do while fighting the Jin. You know, so I think if they showing off nerfs, showing off new counterplay, it's showing off new toys for the rest of us as opposed to just the guy who plays the character.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, thanks. Yeah. Given that was everyone giving their kind of initial thoughts on the Tekken talk. I just want to go over it. Like, I have all the timestamps there, so I kind of want to go through things, chronologically. And talk about it with you guys, right? So we've kind of got a little bit of general thoughts, but I actually want to go into things a little bit deeper and give a little bit of news to those of you guys who maybe didn't get to see the entire Tekken talk. So first of all, I want to say a very, very, very positive change to the Tekken World Tour, which they announced. And guys, don't worry, we're going to go into the gameplay talk. I got all the timestamps, okay, guys? But let's talk about this quickly first. Tekken World Tour has announced that now tour registration is possible for every person, no matter what country they're in, and I think that's such a huge change, because again, ever since 2017 when Tekken 7 came out, I've known of players from certain countries that are so passionate, that are just, they're crazy about Tekken and haven't been able to I guess compete, right? So as you can see here, now it doesn't matter where you are, what country, what nationality, what residence you have, you are going to be able to sign up for the tour, and it's amazing, especially considering some of the drama that we saw from last year. Now they did announce also, of course,
I think Russia is allowed now. I think, but I'm not so sure.
There are going to be some issues with some players because of the country that they're in. Sometimes I guess there's going to be some economic sanctions, and that is absolutely outside of the control of Bandai Namco. So when it comes to prize money, it might be a bit difficult for them to receive that. But again, this is still a very, very positive step. And I've even spoken to some people from countries that were banned, regions that were banned, and they said, you know what, look, we're just happy that finally we can actually compete. So lovely to see that. And I think all of you guys, I'm not going to say anything against that, right? I mean, this is really cool. But there is something that I want your opinion on when it comes to Tekken World Tour, and it's this right here. Major change in regulations each tournament now for coaching. And I know, Speakers, you are a big driving force behind the coaching conversation. Now, they've made a change. Coaching, each tournament may establish its own rules. If not specified specifically, then coaching must happen one time per match and only after a player loses the game. And only 1 minute and one coach. And so I mean, what do you guys think about that? All of you guys are, you know, competitors and stuff. You've all competed at big tournaments. Kairos, I'll ask you, man, what's your opinion on the coaching change here?
I think there just needs to be regulation at the end of the day, regardless of how you feel about it. If it's going to happen, there needs to be regulation. Like, I think the big tournament that I think kind of kicked off the discussion was CEO. And that was mainly because, like, in CEO, because of the ring, the players had to get up and then walk over to their coach and then listen and then get back up and walk. So that did add a lot of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the rule, like, only after losing, because we did see so many times, like, players win a set, then someone comes coaching, then they lose and they lose the next game, and then from there, so like, I think that's a good change.
So you get yourself full upset again. £527. I don't want the pennies.
It's fucking money. Money's money, lad.
I worked on SCV, playtester, and on the official guide. I worked on Nightmare, Zvi, and DVJ Cass. There was a combo that guaranteed a full launch on block. I told Bandai and they still kept it in the game. That's what we have now with Tekken.
Incompetence. Yo, Lensa, thank you so much. Yeah, I don't doubt this. They are crazy. They do it on purpose. Thank you for the $5.
I've never had like a huge opinion on it. Like, I guess Joker's up there. Me and Joker, we coach each other a lot when we play in tournament. And it's like, I think it's fine as long as there's regulation. It's cool. I think it got out of hand sometimes with like multiple players going up and then going up after a win and then sitting there for 2 hours. And the only thing I think they didn't mention is like the rules on like phones, because I don't know how much you could do on that. But like someone could be like on a Discord call with like 10 different guys, and then it's like, okay, maybe that's a bit too much. But like, I don't know how you do that. You check their phone, you take their phone. I don't know what you do. They could have like a wireless receiver in there. I don't know, but like,
I'm not gonna call anyone out, but there's been some people that be on their phones like this with their headphones in. You know, certain players. I'm not gonna call them out, but you know, I see you guys.
Yeah. I'm just saying, man. But like, it's also interesting because they said each tournament can have their. So that could a tournament ban coaching if they wanted to?
Yes,
each
yes.
one may establish them. So
they can, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this like a little bit unimportant topic. Do you think that coaching should be allowed or should not be allowed? Before I say my opinion, because I don't want to influence you. Use your own brain first. Okay, I give you my opinion. The reason why I think coaching should not be allowed is because when I watch two players go at each other, I want to see their adaptation go against each other. I want to see their pattern recognition fight and not the coach's pattern recognition. What's the point of getting coached and someone tells you, yeah, he does this into this and this into this, if you don't realize it yourself and then you win? It is weird, I don't know. Like, it can also backfire sometimes when the coach is ass or the implementation of the information is bad. But overall, I am not a big fan. Like, your mind game, your knowledge, your pattern recognition, go at it. Now you fight. Because you trained for this moment, yeah? You trained for this moment, now this moment you need to be on your own.
You can establish your own rules. If you don't want coaching, you can ban it. And I do believe that that's probably the direction they're going to go. And Joker, what's your opinion on coaching? I don't think I've actually asked you this before.
Oh, interesting. Let's see.
I think it's a good change. I think they need to regulate it better. Like in some tournaments that I've competed in, I remember like when the opponent's getting coached, they've had like 2-3 different coaches per set. I'm just like thinking, is it supposed to be one coach, one designated coach per set? So yeah, I think it's good that they're, you know, kind of clamping down on it. I think it's important, and I agree with what Kaywa said. And it's so important that you coach someone after losing the previous set. I don't know why there were some coaches that would coach their opponents after winning. Like, that makes no sense. Let them focus. It's not about you, it's about them. Let him focus. Yeah, let the player play. And yeah,
I disregarded this actually. I can imagine some like mentally weak people enjoy like just being in front of the camera for 3-4 seconds because no one gives a shit otherwise. So yeah, they jump in there, the guy won, and then they chat some shit. Bro, get the fuck off the stage, man.
I think eventually it will get banned in due time. But yeah, I think one big issue I have is the phoning part, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm just gonna call people out. Americans are always on their phones, on their earphones, and
speaking. So they're in Discord.
They're probably in
Discord.
I'm telling you, it's in Speaking's Discord. They're in Speaking's Discord, probably getting coached by Speakings and Tone and PDX. Like, how do you regulate that? That's what I don't understand.
Speakers, what do you think about that?
Oh my god, I'm so happy, bro. When
I'm
I saw
not gonna say the name, but one time I got called out for first to 10 in Tekken 7 times. I lost the set 10-9, and then I found out later that the person was in Discord with 3 other people, trying to explain to him how he can defeat me. And I was like, bro, I fought against 4 people at the same time.
a slide, I like just got out of my chair. Like I mainly do like Tekken coaching and stuff, right? So like that's like my main contribution. And I think the mid-set coaching thing is so dumb, like for multiple reasons, right? I just think it's not good for competition. I think it's not good for the spectator. I don't think it really enriches the experience as a player. All it really does is let you get some help when you know, in the 1v1 game you're playing, which is very weird to me. So all around, I think it's a good change, and I know it's going to be really hard to regulate generally, right? So a complete ban of coaching would be very difficult, I think, for anyone, because like for any tournament, because how do you handle
times I see other commentators, and I wanted to keep it on. That was the rule. I think someone in Joker's match, before the match, turned VSync off, and there was a bunch of screen tearing, and then like obviously there was less input lag. I think you lost, right, during that game. I'm not sure. Do you remember?
I didn't want to complain during the set.
Damn, I think you should have complained. What? The guy turns off VSync before you start the match? I don't know, that is the same as if you go to a boxing match and the guy puts like it's not like stones, but they put something into the gloves so when they hit you, it breaks your fucking joints.
Yeah. So I complained after the
Who was it?
What is VSync? VSync is a technology that helps with screen tearing. Most new age monitors have G-Sync and FreeSync above 60 Hz. But when you don't have that, then you turn off VSync and you will see lines on the screen. Now this has 2 implications. First of all, visually it looks different. Second of all, input delay is different. Tournament players tend to get into information what they play on what the screen settings are. And in case there is a VSync setting, they will play on VSync 1 month before the tournament, so they don't have to adjust to input delay. It's crazy, actually.
I played Shonen, I think it was. He was hitting me with Jun's down back too. I'm like, I swear I react to this normally, man. What's going on?
Yeah, it was weird, but I mean, I think it's a big change. Speed of Feed, do you have anything to add to this?
I don't watch UFC and boxing
it's cool
anymore.
to me.
So.
I think creating the option on console is actually pretty dope. I didn't even know that was like possible.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's not locked on console means I might try to experiment with my PS5 and see how it feels. VSync off versus VSync on console versus VSync off on PC versus VSync on a PC, and see what the differences are. It'd be cool if they could figure out a way to turn it off without getting too much screen tearing, because then it'd make console tournaments just way better.
Wait a minute. You can turn off VSync off on PlayStation now? Since when? Is that a new implement? Is that coming or in season 2? Damn. Well, that's pretty big, you know. They have VSync off now? I would be very interested on some tech guy really going into the details and finding out the input latency. Because if the... Bro, it might be that the PlayStation without VSync, PlayStation 5, might have even less input delay than an average PC. Because PC to PC is different. Even if you have different CPUs, Intel is less input delay than AMD. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm the biggest weenie when it comes to input delay. Like if you add a few frames, I start tweaking. I'm like, this is all wrong. Like I'm not gonna be able to play, guys. Like so, I'm the biggest. Like if we can make it better, that's
okay.
good. But and at the same time, when I played in the lockdown era TWT offline for NA, they ran it on PC for the first time, and there was so much screen tearing. It was like at that point, I would have rather had more delay, right? So it was like hard to see people moving. Like if there are errors where the screen is like it was really weird. It was like the screen was like flashing. It was genuinely one of the weirdest experiences I've had in a tournament, and that experience made me think like, okay, I would rather have to get used to the lag than get on a setup where the screen tearing might be more extreme than the screen tearing I'm used to at home, right? Or like if somebody has the setting different on a particular
funny
setup,
review,
and the match gets played, like are people going to contest that? Is it going to go through? I feel like it opens up.
You see
more potential
lines on the
problems
screen,
in a tournament
Scarface,
unless
lines.
they have a way to make sure all the consoles. They said there was like a preset 1 setting or like a tournament setting, right? And I think that's good. That's pretty crucial. Obviously, having the option for the people at home, I think, is a win-win regardless. But in terms of tournaments, I think, yeah, like having a standard and being able to ensure the quality of how much screen tearing is happening, if any, is going to be pretty important, because it'll be pretty rough if it's like your first time going to a tournament, you show up on stage, and then you have this, aside from the lag, just like this new screen tearing experience you've never seen before. You know, I think that it's something to consider for sure.
For sure. I'm glad they mentioned it though. So shout out Simple. Mentioned the VSync, but next topic I want to talk about. Okay, we're gonna go into now the Tekken talk. We're gonna talk about the characters, and one thing here that we saw that was implemented is the UI change, the counter, and I want you guys' opinion on this, man, because now it tells you in the game whether it's a counter hit or not. And Nee did make a tweet saying that he needs to actually get to play the game to see whether that's going to allow counter hit confirming to be easier with multi-counter hit moves such as G-clefs or like stuff like Law's back 1-2-2. I'll start with you, Joker, actually, with this one. You can see it on screen right now. It says counter after Anna did her down forward 1 string. What do you think about this being implemented in game?
At first, I thought it was going to be too much in the sense that there'd be so much clutter and whatnot. But with the way they've placed it and how small it is, I think it's good. In regards to the counterpart, I think, like what Nee said, I agree. We need to try it for ourselves. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, it'd be interesting if it does help with the counterpart, like being able to confirm strings and whatnot. I think it'd be pretty strong. But at first, I wasn't a fan of the idea. But again, when it comes to the counterpart, I want to see it in play. And I think we don't need to see the combo damage. I think that shit is kind of dumb. Like, why am I seeing me getting launched for like 100 damage on the screen, bro? Like, I know it does a lot of damage. Like, after I lose to someone, am I gonna shake their hand and say to them, "Oh, you hit me with a good combo that was 100 damage, nice"? Like,
you know what? I can see Kane and Trench doing that though. That combo, mate, 99 damage. That was beautiful.
It was like, you know, that's optimized. You know, like, I optimized that combo, you know. But yeah, I think it's okay, and I just want to test it for myself when it comes to the counterpart for sure.
Yeah. Kawis?
Yeah, I think I'm the opposite.
One thing I made a wrong call on. I need to adjust that. I was under the assumption that when the player plays king and he turns this counter, he toggle on for on-screen counter, that he can now confirm the counter hits more efficiently because of the visual cue. But I was wrong. Because how you gonna talk shit on Twitter while streaming? Is that fucking son of a bitch from Twitter. I called you a F word. Go check it out. Anyways, as I was mentioning... They cannot confirm it because you can see it on your tweet. I commented. You cannot confirm it because the counter display comes too late. There is a small delay. So then say it, oh yeah, you think I am a 2-digit orangutan like you, so you can get me banned. Yeah, that doesn't work.
I feel like in theory, I was like, oh, this is a good thing. And then I started to see it and I was a bit like, I feel like some of it's a bit too excessive, like combo damage, combo hits. Like I know how many hits are in the combo, like I'm doing it. And I think like but like and I think like tornado like I think some of it is a bit too much. Like I know what's going on, but punish is also a bit too excessive. It happens a bit too much, but I don't know. I think as long as there's an option to turn it off if I want, or customize only some to turn up. I think they mentioned there's a version that only comes up above the life bar or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm misremembering, but
something I need to add, sorry to interrupt, is that obviously they're gonna have this as a standard for tournaments, right? So even if we do turn it off, even though we can toggle it, we're gonna have to get used to it for tournaments. Because
do you think it's gonna be default for tournament?
Yeah, they said that they wanted it to be easier for the commentators, for the viewers, and whatnot.
Okay.
So.
That was actually going to be like my next.
Yo, thank you, Scarface.
Is it going to be tournament standard? Are we keeping this on? Like, can the TOs decide? Can the players decide? Because here's my thing. I think it is best, obviously, for the viewer, right? Like, and obviously for commentators, like, you don't have to be like, was that a counter hit? We don't know. You see counter right there. I do think in general, counter hits have been normal to see in Tekken. Like there's normally a screen zoom and a big bang, like you can tell, okay, that was a counter hit. But obviously some moves are different, they're not all moves are like that. But for commentators, for viewers, I think generally it's a good thing just to have that information.
Yo, Cooney, what's up?
But it might be a case of them like maybe caring a bit too much
to
new players there,
Feng,
you know, because they don't know
F-word is Feng player.
They're not sure, and it's
in Tekken,
it's
really.
there. I don't know. I think for viewers, for people like maybe watching a stream or something, like, was that a counter hit? I don't know. Well, now you know. But yeah, I think some of it is just
install
like,
for Kazuya.
Like that's the.
I think I know what's gonna happen with Kazuya.
There's a whole camera.
They're gonna buff down back 3+4 because no one uses that stance, and they want to enforce the stance mix-up.
Like, okay, if it is a conversation to be had about whether it should be tournament standard, what's your opinion and takeaway on the new UI changes? I'll start with you, actually, Speed. What do you make of it?
I think this tournament standard is fun. I think everyone complaining about this, y'all kind of, I'm a nerd, y'all some bigger nerds or something on this one. I swear to God, I don't know what it is. I think it's cool that, like, you know, some new player, someone who doesn't really understand Tekken can like look at Tekken and they'd be like, oh, that was a punish, or that was a counter hit. Okay, cool. What's a tornado? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like just having that stuff pop up and like introduce them to like the things that are happening in the game.
I don't think that is bad either. Like this, like there's like a you can also turn it off or on. I might turn it on like once a week. I don't stream so much because I work, but when I stream, I can do like one time turn it on for the new viewers. You know, that's not the new viewers, but the people that are new to the game, so they can follow what's happening. I think it's just a win-win situation with this like counter and all these things. There is no reason to gatekeep that if they don't force you to use it, you know? That's fine.
Game.
Yeah.
There is a few good changes in Tekken. A few. I am gonna say them because I don't speak too positively about this game most of the time, but when there is something positive, I have to say it. So this new toggle on is good. Sidestepping into both directions from crouch is good. This is now controversial and subjective, but a lot of people, especially Arslan Ash, complain about one launch into mix-up dead. well, you have recoverable health from combos now. I think that implementation is awesome. But as they go 2 steps forward, they go 5 steps back. Then chip damage and all the other fucking bullshit is there. So all in all, you are minus like more negatives than positives, but that doesn't mean that the positives don't exist.
Kind of cool. But it's kind of ugly.
Oh.
So my problem is that like
You won't believe who did a 9-hour stream last night ranting about CH punish display. Mike Swallow.
I think the combo damage is excessive. I think combo count is cool, and you can see big red life bar. Those numbers don't really mean anything to anyone who doesn't know Tekken already enough to understand that someone's getting comboed, right? So I think the damage is excessive. The way the color for the combo counter and the combo damage are like so different is also weird. It's like too focused when you're doing the combo. So I think that's the only problem. But the concept is cool to me, and I think if it makes counter hit confirming easier, like whatever,
Yeah.
it's fine. I think.
Really? Is it fine though? Like King down 4-2-1, let's say if it stays in the game.
Okay. So I think counter hit confirming in this game is already too easy. Like if we're talking about as a skill, because the big pink flare hit spark, that comes up when you do the hit, right? It makes so I can confirm Hwoarang's 10-frame counter hit without even going into the second part, unless the counter hits, because you can just see it. You have so much time to like process you hit someone on counter. So if you look for that, it's just a little marginally easier to look for the word counter on screen. Maybe you weren't a nerd who looked at the difference in the hit sparks. You're just looking for the word on the screen. It's the same thing.
Okay. So it's a similar situation for you, just a bit easier and maybe a bit more accessible. Feed, what do you think?
Big nerd checking in here. I had a lot of thoughts about this.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning when they talked about it, I put out a video. Actually, before they even announced it, I put out a video saying like Tekken doesn't need this. And it started because there was like a tweet conversation about Brian doing a combo and then getting flashed after. And people are saying, why does Yoshimitsu get this punish? And then people did it frame by frame on that tweet, and it showed the big counter hit spark. So he mashed after, and Yoshimitsu just got a counter hit flash. And Yeah. So I talked about it, how the counter hit spark has already given us everything we need and more. If you even go to like older Tekkens, it was super hard to counter hit confirm things. Like the camera might not even zoom in, And I talked about it from the perspective of I think it's cool to, if the game pushes competitors to like get faster and like become sharper. That kind of improvement is really cool to me. So at first I don't think against so. It. And then when they actually demoed it, so like in the Asuka versus Raina showcase in the Tekken talk, right away in the first round at like...
You know what, bro? This guy, I didn't like him for the past year, obviously. Mentally, I will give him another chance, even though I think he's a shill and that he always panders towards what's publicly now the political correct option select. But maybe he's gonna better himself a little bit. He was not in this position before to be like so big and stuff. Maybe he can learn a little bit.
Asuka hits a counter hit forward 2. The pink spark is almost going away, and then the text.
Okay.
So from a counter hit confirming standpoint, I think the developers actually really thought about this, and they were like, we want this to strictly be beneficial to viewers, right? And I think that was a pretty cool thing right away.
One thing I need to say about this joint, just so you understand my mindset. Bro, none of these guys would be here without you. None of them. Not a single one. So when people are not honest to the audience that put them there in the first place, you should do some sort of service for the people. Because without the people, you wouldn't be anyone. No one would give a shit. Yes, you. And you. And you also. Like, at the end of the day, this whole thing is unreal unless there is people putting their attention span on the people, So, that's why I say, bro, people that have these types of, like, followings and stuff, never forget when you want to pander towards like a corporation to get more money, you might get less money if you be a little bit more honest, or less opportunities, but you wouldn't have gotten any opportunity at all if it wasn't for the people in the first place.
Immediately shifted my perspective. I also come from that like kind of old Tekken mindset of like, I loved how minimal the game looked compared to say like Anime Fighters or things like that. I knew exactly where to look. I was concerned that on-screen text would make me not know where to look after, right? Or like I'd get distracted by all the clutter. But then I saw that they put it on the side and kind of high up, so it was like somewhat reasonable. So every time I looked at it, I felt better and better about it as time on. I agree that the combo damage is a little too much information. Like we can see health bar going down. We judge distance.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense to maybe tone down on that. Combo hits, I also think is a bit excessive. Kaywa said, I'm doing the combo. I know how many hits I'm doing. Me personally, I forget. So it's going to happen.
Really?
But I
One question. This is just my opinion. I liked Tekken, but that might be due to my character, because every button is a limb. The one button is the right punch, the left button is the left punch, the left kick is the free button, the right kick is the 4 button. There is some sort of feedback you get in this game that you get from nowhere else. It is very responsive and direct. You feel like you are in charge. When they implement moves that are 1 button down forward 2 and then you hit the opponent and the follow-ups come out automatically and they have 2 or 3 hits, it makes me feel weird immediately, like Clive and stuff.
also think, you know, you could go either way with that one. But I think, especially after having worked with so many people who have just started in, things like Punish will really help a lot. Things like Tornado, you would be surprised, especially if you're a Tekken veteran, how with so many things happening on the screen, your opponent doing so many things, you're taking in all this new info. Even like the stages have more visual information than they used to. It could be easy to just, your brain will gloss over the fact that the camera zoomed in and sound, you know? So I think those tiny things I've become more in favor of as I saw how they implemented it. I do hope they clean it up. I do hope it like stays out of the way, just because I do prefer that minimalist Tekken vibe and look. But yeah. I think it's not as bad as I personally thought it was gonna be. I was like dooming about it. You guys, like, we don't need this at all. Keep it out of Tekken. And then I'm like, it's okay.
I do wonder if it's going to make a difference for the multi-hit moves, like Nee was saying, like the back 1-2-2, which is quite delayable and confirmable. So even if the back one is on hit, you know, honestly, sometimes I can't tell if Law's back one is a counter hit or not. And it always impresses me when people confirm that, because it's not very easy to tell visually. But if I really do feel like the back 1-2-2 might be a lot easier, and moves like that. Sorry, Rip, I'm not trying to just like I'm not trying to just single out Law, right? But I think that honestly there might be some characters that have a lot of time to delay their string or confirm their counter hit, that if the counter thing comes up, it just makes it a lot easier. I think it's not a bad thing. I think it's fine, but it's just something to consider. Talk about something to consider, though. We have Anna that is shown that she can actually apply a debuff to other characters. This is something completely new that has not been seen before. As you can see on screen, guys, a new stance into 2-2-2, and once the I think one of the Katsu does it, you'll see here that there's
GG's, man. Well played.
Fuck the GG's, man.
On her character's picture on the top corner,
thank
and
you
as well
for
as
the
the body,
10
you can
gifted
visually
subs,
tell that there is a debuff. Now, what this debuff does is that it allows Anna to deal chip damage with every move she has, including jabs. And we know that Anna has a lot of jab strings and a lot of ways to be able to deal chip damage with strings, right? So I want to know what you guys think about this debuff. And this might be something they're trying to do with other characters.
A moment of silence for all the unsubbed people in the chat.
Hey, خلاص. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. Setzt euch, wollt ihr was trinken? Nein, danke. Trinkt was. Wallah, trink. Type, okay, ein Tee.
Thank you so much, Ken, for the raid.
As well, they're kind of maybe experimenting a little bit here. Joker, I'll start with you, man. What do you think of this debuff from Anna?
I think it's a fantastic change, just keeping the game fresh. They're adding something new. I think it's good that we have something new in the game. No, I'm joking. I think.
Oh, you're joking? Okay.
I don't like it. They need to change that, in my opinion. I don't like what they're doing with that, and I think they mentioned in Heat she does more chip, which is I'm not a fan. Honestly. Again, they did talk about before they wanted to nerf chip damage and whatnot, and then they got this new debuff stick, which is amazing. I don't know. Again, I'm just gonna wait until I play.
Yo,
for myself,
thank you,
but
man,
it
Ken.
doesn't
Thank
look
you.
good. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay, Kobe, Kebis?
Medusa
that's
was
my
gonna
main
have a
thing
heart
is,
attack.
like-
Bro, no. I know this guy a little bit when he talks, and when I hear his voice, I know when he chats shit. Like, it was obvious he wanted to make a joke, but it was a good one.
They mentioned we're gonna tone down chip damage. We understand. We saw ETC finals. Like, we understand how annoying chip damage is. And then Anna comes with a debuff that applies chip damage to everything. Like, and she could do it on block. You block the string, and then everything. Like, to me, it's like the direction is confusing, because why say that and then give her a debuff?
Kebis looks like he's in the debuff right now, bro. Look at his camera. Kebis got debuffed.
Bro, like, I can talk about it. I have the debuff right now. Like,
Guys, it sucks.
I don't. It's terrible. Like, I don't understand. And I think what Joker said is right. Like, like, eventually this is gonna come to more characters. Like, this is how they did it in Tekken 7. Like, Geese was the first character to get a wall bounce. Then everyone gets wall bounces. Falcon Ram, Lidio, the only ones to have guard breaks. Steve had a guard break. How many characters have guard breaks now? I feel like this is the first step for characters that have more debuffs that deal this kind of chip. And it's like, well, why say in the first place?
Do me a favor, don't give these guys shit, like, on a personal level, because it's not really productive to the situation.
We want to tone down chip damage, and then Anna comes with this.
But I just want to say, what if this is actually just like an Anna specific thing, or just a couple of characters that may have weaknesses in other areas, but their thing is that they can deal chip damage by applying this debuff. It's not going to be a universal thing, but if it's like an Anna only thing, I think that's really cool, actually. Speedicus, what do you think?
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm not inherently against this idea of characters applying debuffs that do chip damage, right? My main issue, because I played like 2D fighting games, and there's a lot of 2D fighting games where characters have like unique mechanics, like they just game defining mechanics on one character alone, right? Like if I think about the debuff, I think about, was it Fong in Street Fighter 5 and Aki in Street Fighter 6, right? But those characters are designed around that, right? They're designed around applying the debuff and the game plan around actually getting the debuff off, and then how much reward they get when their opponent is poisoned and stuff like that, and not much else. They don't have much else. So when you play that character, you really feel, oh, I have to do this. I have to make this mechanic work for me. With Anna, they showed off her having a pretty solid punish game, pretty above average mix-up game from standing, above average stance mix-up game, obvious heat strength, right? And then so everything strength that every other character has. If you gave her that alone, you would say, okay, this is a really strong mix-up character. Why are we giving her a unique game mechanic along with that goes towards heat, where we have...
Good point. So you have a character that has good pokes. He did mention that, good poking. She has good poking, she has solid lows, she has insane mix-ups, she has unreasonable plus frames on specific lows that are like unreactable and at the wall put you into an unfavorable position. She has a stance that crushes lows. She is a pretty complete character. And then in this complete vibe, she gets on top of that this debuff thing for no particular reason. The same could be said about Heihachi. Heihachi, if he would have released without Warrior Instinct, I would have thought he's a strong character. But he came out with all the things that he has and Warrior Instinct. And no one knows why he has it. Where is the drawbacks? There is none. It is just having something for the sake of having it. It's not a well-thought game philosophy. There is no well-thought like balancing thoughts behind it. Essentially, it feels like Murray goes and eats some bad sushi with Nakatsu, and then they diarrhea all over Tekken.
Or it goes for chip, where we had characters like Kuma, who was designed kind of almost like exclusively around the chip, right?
Yeah.
Like that was kind of like his main thing. Like Anna is both a chip character and a mix-up character and a punish character and a neutral character. Like, it's too much, right? There's no definition here.
I think that if they want to, I agree with you. I think that it's similar to King, right? King is a grappler, yet we see the John play King and he doesn't grapple. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he has won tournaments by using forward 4 neutral 2, down 4 2-1, jab. That's it.
Don't forget muscle armor. Muscle armor.
Oh, muscle armor.
That's important.
Yeah, muscle armor. Of course.
Even when it doesn't go off. Yeah, even when it doesn't hit, he just does it in neutral. Kind of let him know.
Yeah, having one of the best defensive options in the game, the muscle armor. You know, preventing the opponent from being able to do any running moves and getting them scared, and it's like got very little counterplay. So like, but he has all these moves, but he's supposed to be a grappler. So why not kind of buff the throws, but maybe nerf some of the other things like having the best counter hit tools in the game and the best pokes in the game. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I'm not against the debuff thing, but I think that if they want to play around that to be one of her strengths, then they should give her some obvious weaknesses as well, right? Fee, what do you think?
I feel kind of like an old head. I'm like, the first thing I think of is like, well, what's next? What's the next gimmick they're gonna add? You know what I mean? And I think we've seen gimmick creep in some extent in this game. So I think of like a character like Yoshimitsu. To me, he's had this like the Flash was a unique move, his own gimmick for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And they designed his entire character on his ability to not just flash, but also spin away in a unique sidestep, to have these tricky stances that teleport around. And I thought that was really cool. Ling Xiaoyu uniquely has this evasive stance where she disappears off the screen for a little bit, but in exchange, she doesn't have these offensive things. And now we've gone into Tekken 8 where characters are keeping their gimmicks and getting strengths overall. I also think immediately of my...
Good point. If you make a character excel in a specific aspect of the game, then you have to, for balancing purposes, make her bad or him bad in a very obvious manner in a different department. Good example, Yoshimitsu. Yoshimitsu was a character that you would need to turtle against, so he would eventually blow himself up with the so-called gimmicks. And the player needed to be very creative in order to utilize Yoshimitsu's full strength, and that was admirable, and no one would say anything. That's why you would have like people like iMusician and stuff, like a Yoshimitsu player called iMusician. Like the gameplay was like music to your eyes, kind of. And it made sense back then. Kanan Trench was also awesome. There was a lot of awesome Yoshis. Now I can't appreciate any of them anymore, because in Tekken 7 the drawback was low wall carry, bad combo damage. If a Tekken 7 character could kill you with 2 combos and 1 mix, Yoshimitsu needed like 3 launchers. Like Yoshi's combos was really dog shit. Frames was bad, poking was bad. But he had a low unblockable and stuff like that. Now he has all his strengths, plus a bit more, and whatever your character can do on top of that. And that makes no sense. Another thing. Ling Xiaoyu. Ling Xiaoyu would also have similar things where her damage would be low, now it's absurd. And she would have also not this type of 50-50 game plan. She would try to crush you. Now she takes away your turn, crushes your moves, and puts you into 50-50 situations which Kazuya could dream of. And then she has a heat smash on hit into a full mix. Like, you have to understand there's only 2 situations here. Situation or option A. The developers are retarded and implement things that they don't understand, and they should get called out for that. Option B. They know what they are doing, but they do it on purpose. Well, I would go with the second one. They are not that dumb. There is an idea behind it.
Experience of coaching newer players, and already the move sets alone are so overwhelming to learn. Like, what does my opponent want to do? and then adding
Everything.
a metagame gimmick on top of that is crazy too, right? So I think that I personally miss kind of having a character's gimmick be built into their toolkit. Anna's in crouch, I'm panicking, right? Like that's the like she punished me, I'm guessing. That was her gimmick to me.
Right.
Way before we got the addition of this debuff, right? I
agree. It's probably C. Some of them they don't do on purpose. You're right.
And that opinion to me comes separate of how strong the gimmick is. It could be a really overpowered gimmick. It could be a really weak gimmick. But I think just from the perspective of somebody learning to fight against a Tekken character, it's an extra layer of information overload that I think needs to be accounted for, right? Like Speed said, if a character is a gimmick character, let's design everything around that in a very like surgical manner. But I have a hunch that Anna's going to be doing to me what she did in Tekken 7 with more range, with a gun, and now I'm taking chip.
Yeah.
And how will I explain to somebody that like you're concerned about the crouch, you're concerned about this? If you turn purple, now you're taking chip damage. It's small by itself, but when you add 35 characters and you start adding more and more characters, I think it's really a lot to consider.
Something I want to add is I just think they're implementing these new like gimmicks or mechanics or whatever. I think it's all testing for the future. Like we saw this with God breaks with Fakram, and everyone eventually got a God break. I think it's the same case. I feel like everyone's gonna eventually have a debuff state, which sounds fantastic again.
I think like I said, I don't mind it if the character if that becomes a part of that character's identity. Not that, because it's not a part of a character's identity if everyone has it. So I'll give you a very good example. Look at Tekken 7. We had characters that had 16 frame launches as their fastest launches, right? Zafina, Marduk in the past in Tekken Tag 2, Anna, Raven. Now, Raven still had the 16 frame with the downfall 2. Anna's downfall 2 was 16. Bob didn't have a 15 frame launcher. And all of those characters were given 15 frame launches. Bob up forward 4, Anna down forward 2, Marduk down forward 1 from Tag 2 to Tekken 7. And it was a little bit annoying for me because I feel like one of the things that was so cool about those characters is that they had to work around those weaknesses, right? It's like, okay, especially in this game in Tekken 8, rage arts are minus 15. So you look at Jun Kazama, for example, her hop kick and down forward 2 are both 16 frames. You can't launch a rage art with that character. You have to use down back 1. And I think that's a weakness of the character, not a crazy one. Down back 1 still does a lot of damage, but it's a weakness, right? And I think that one of the beautiful things about Tekken characters for me, and watching Tekken as a commentator and playing as a player, is to see players work around their weaknesses. And then I think as time has gone on, it's become a little bit more difficult to tell what a character's weakness is. If I ask you what is Jin's weakness as it is right now, I think it would be a very difficult question for you to answer. What is Jin's weakness? Now, Jin players will try to answer that question because they're all down players, and I think, I don't know if you're on something, but like they'll try to answer that question. They shouldn't. They should shut up. But it's like, Jin and also other characters as well. I feel like, they've kind of homogenized a lot of these characters. But I think isolated, I don't have a problem with the debuff thing. I just think that hopefully it can be one of maybe Anna's identity things. But like you said, Fee, I hope that there are some weaknesses of the character as well that you can clearly explain to someone who is new, who you're coaching, and say, this is what you watch out for when Anna's in crouch. Very very dangerous. Here's your counterplay. And
all this
blah, blah, blah,
talking,
but here are some weaknesses that you can
but nobody addresses how fucking broken Kazuya is, as always. Well, I think everyone is broken in this game, including Kazuya. And why do I say that? If the platform which the characters are operating on is broken, which is heat, that will reflect in the characters being broken. As simple as that. So what they have essentially done is buff everyone into oblivion, so that you cannot hold each other accountable, or you cannot say like, hey, your character makes no sense because of this and that. Because then someone will say, yeah, but your character has this and that. And then they create an environment where they put us in a jar, and then they shake the jar and we think the problem is us, but not them. Don't focus like too much on individual characters. It's the system they implemented which makes the game bad. Yes, Kazuya makes no sense. Yes, Devil Jin is horseshit. Yes, Feng is bad. Yes, King makes no sense. Yes, or Aliza is dumb. Yes, Shaheen makes no sense. Yes, law is broken. I agree with all of these, but when we keep, like, with a magnifying glass zooming onto characters, we will not identify the bigger picture. You need to zoom out a little bit of this ego perspective that you have and try to understand what is going on around here. And the bigger picture is more important because it affects the whole cast.
If you move laterally to this direction and this, that, the other. So I think that's what Tekken's all about. Let's hope that Anna is not going to be too strong. But talking about strong and Anna, this move here got everyone losing their shit. Here we go. Anna running into the bazooka and in heat did like 64 damage. Guys, what do you think about this? Kay, what's I'll ask you right now, man. What do you think?
I prefer not to speak.
Can you just play the Joker video? Is that possible? Because that's how I felt when I saw it, man.
Bro, let me see that again. Hang on. Let's see the damage again. In heat, running for bam, bam, bam. And something that someone said, I forgot who it was. Anna could do a heat engager and be plus 17, and then you're gonna have to take that. That's scary to me, man. I don't know. I mean, it's just a move. It can be nerfed. It's not the end of the world, but I'm scared. Is anyone else scared?
It goes back to heat engagers, because again, heat engagers are plus 17. That low is what I-16, and it's safe in heat. You can't low parry it, you can't sidewalk it. You have to either block it or take the 60 plus damage plus the heat engage situation.
Yeah.
Like,
Yo, I wonder, her down for it too still launches crouch, probably, right?
Yeah.
So it's as simple as guess for your life, right? Like literally for your life. Like I can do the low, I can do the mid. I'm plus 17. I can do what I want, and it's safe. It's safe on block.
Yeah, it does say though counter hit, and this is something I didn't notice. It says counter hit, so I wonder if it's a counter hit NCC rather than an NC.
Yeah.
Because if it's NC, bro, that would be insane.
Bro, it might be natural, man. Honestly, it might be natural.
But I don't know, man. That move is a bit crazy.
Bro, it might be natural even, bro. I get his sentiments, bro. At this point, everything is possible. At this point, I was joking with one of my friends, Starbreaker. I was saying like, okay, now Anna has like a bazooka and all this shit, yeah? Who tells us that Brian is not gonna come now in season 2 and he's literally, you know that outro that Brian has in Tekken 7 where he picks that like metal bar and throws that against the camera? Bro, maybe he picks out a random fucking metal bar out of his ass and then throws it against the opponent range 4 plus 5 and then he comes in with QCB1 or some shit. Like, anything at this point could happen. I remember someone said, no, it was Blackheart, I think, yeah, I wouldn't mind it at this point if Marduk comes into the game and throws a truck at me and it's plus 8. It's just a move, right, at this point.
Crazy, but I think one of the craziest things about this move, counter hit or not, is if you block it, I think that it's very difficult to punish. If not, it's not punishable, right? Like, let's have a look here what happens. So Anna's in heat, does the thing. I think there is time between
I've seen
the first hit and
Cristiano
the second
Ronaldo
hit for you to maybe get like a punish on it. But if you don't, then yeah, you're not punishing that. But look at the pushback. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Didn't it walk rush?
It does, yeah.
it did.
Show that. There we go.
At the... Yo, okay. That is a funny move. That's great. That's
Oh man.
Oh, I'm gonna
Black Ops War Machine.
Black Ops War Machine.
It's crazy, man. Like, I think this move is a big problem, the whole design and concept of it. And I just hope it's not as bad as it looks.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope there's some real counterplay. But I mean, we can't judge it before we get the game. And I know there's people that get really angry when I say that. Like, yeah, you can judge it, Spag. You're seeing it right now. But like, let's I guess we can wait. But I guess I know what you guys think about that. The final thing. So the final thing I want to say about Anna is this right here, the Heat Smash. Now, when I was interviewing the Koreans in the last HeatSpeak, we had Ni, CBM, Ulsan on the show. and I asked them like, what was something that you guys are like a little bit, you know, what do you think is one of the bigger problems in Tekken 8, you know, that you guys find? And they said that heat smashes are a bit too strong. And then they, so I see Anna's heat smash here. They showed that it has high evasion, and it's a 13 frame wall splatting, wall breaking heat smash. What do you guys think of this?
So this character has I-16 low unreactable slide that kills me, and wall splats probably on hits. I don't know. Or an I-13 mid wall splat that kills me. It's like always mid or low, bro. Oh my god.
Again, I think a fantastic heat smash. I think Anna needs it. No, I think this is a big problem, man. I-13, they even said it high crushes. I think this is not good. We've seen, you know, Kuma's heat smash, and I don't like.
Just think about this situation, yeah? Just think about this situation. Your back is against the wall. Anna does a forward advancing +5 unreactable mid with 2 hits, yeah? One hit is a kick, the other second hit is the bazooka, and then you get the debuff. That's literally in the trailer. And then she is in heat. In order to get her off you, you need to do something. You need to check her. You need to attack back. So one of her options already covers your jab, because she has a high crush I-13 mid, whatever the fuck that is. So how do you deal with this character is really just guessing, bro. Again, like, you can't really do much about it, bro. You really can't. It's as dumb as it sounds. Like, yeah, but Medus, you didn't play it, bro. I know this game is always the same. All the characters are like that. If it is Heihachi, if it is Anna, if it is fucking that character, they all behave in this same fashion. Just the animation of the moves and the voice sounds different. But effectively, you are subjected somehow to the similar situation, no matter what the skin of the character is. It's like playing Budokai Tenkaichi. There's 100 characters in that fucking game, but every character essentially is the same, and there's like 3 types of characters, more not.
Like how someone like Anna has this as well, and I think it recovers in full crouch after on block, right?
Does it?
I think
That's
so.
what they said.
Oh boy!
Which is like,
boy! I didn't know that.
Like, there should not be a mix-up
tomorrow
situation after he smash on.
What
block.
is tomorrow?
Like, we need to
No.
get rid of these situations.
Saturday,
It's not
Sunday.
good. And especially
need to
when
work.
Anna's in full crouch.
Raven.
I don't want to guess. Please just leave me alone.
Just leave it.
Do you agree with that, Fee?
Yeah, I immediately tweeted and said we need to have a conversation about these 13 frame high evading heat smashes. And as the talk went on, it feels that high evasion is a feature. We saw Azucena's new low, the full crouch one, intentionally evading a Jin high.
Yeah.
Right. So, in general, this also added to the whole like, well, how are we supposed to defend against this? Truly just a stand block or crouch block? Is it a sidestep? Is it a sidewalk? Is it because mashing is now being taken out of it, even like a jab? So, and I think that again, we talked earlier in the talk about how the increase of coverage reduces in the amount of gameplay we get, and I think the amount of gameplay as a defender is something that may need more consideration. I think it's not just the fact that like the power level of a jab being evaded, but again, that new player frustration. It's like you generally taught that your jab is a fast move to try and stop your opponent's offense.
Yeah.
Well, there's an exception. It's if they're in heat, then all of a sudden your jab doesn't mean much, right? So you really do have to guess. I think that experience is a frustrating one that may not be getting enough consideration in that defenders want options too, even at lower levels, right? Like
sure.
I want to hit somebody out of the offense because they're pressuring me, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's something to consider.
I 100%. I think, you know, from what we're saying is, I think from the beginning of this podcast, what we've been saying up to this point is that I think giving making nerfs to certain characters and giving the defender more options isn't gonna make the game too much less aggressive or less aggressive at all. I just think that it just makes the mind game of the game a lot more fun, a lot not overly complicated, but just a lot more fun to watch, you know. So you know, look for example at Kuma. I say to everyone, if you're playing against Kuma, if he's in heat, do not jab. Don't jab, because he has an electric that goes under your jab, cleanly beating your jab, and will launch you for God knows how much damage. But he also has a 13 frame high evasion heat smash as well. So, I mean, the jab is completely taken out of the game. When you're playing against Kuma and you have a jab, do not use it. That is, I mean, and most Kuma players will tell you that as well. And I think that's a problem. I think that's the problem. It's like when you have, like, what is the counterplay? I think it's kind of scary, man. But yeah, either way, that's the heat smash. But let's move on to something that I think Kwis and SpeakX are going to be very opinionated about, and it's the key charge change. So key charge no longer grants a counter hit on hit. It now just gives you an extra 50% of damage. Kwis, I know they specifically mentioned Hwoarang and how...
What do you think of the opinion so far? Shill or no shill? I think there was no shilling here. No.
Broken Hwoarang is, with down back 4 being one of the best lows in the game, giving 1 million damage. What do you think of this, man?
This is bullshit, bro. I'm sorry. Like, this is actually, bro. Like, here's how I look at it. Like,
if filtering themselves is not a problem, because you got to understand, as I mentioned before in the beginning of this podcast, everyone has a different stance with Bandai Namco, and everyone expresses their critique in their own way in order to, like, from whichever position they are doing it. I only have a problem with it when they start to tell other people how they can express their opinions. As long as they don't do that, I will also not attack them whatsoever. But when they start to do this, I will go also on the offense. But yeah, the only thing that happened that I really disliked was Joker with his tweet. I said my opinion about it. I answered him on this tweet and that's it. But I made my stance very clear. You have your way to express your fucking shit. We have ours.
What is the reason to just completely destroy what key charge was for so long? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, key charge has been extra counter hit, or gives counter hit. It is literally high risk, high reward. I don't understand how that is technically a bad thing. Like, it's high risk, high reward. You know, there's a lot of low risk, high reward in Tekken 8. Like, this is just a nice high risk, high reward thing. Like, and again, if I do the key charge, you can just stay down, you know, at one hit and then it's over. You know, it's like, I'm very confused as to why they showed Hwoarang doing it too. Like, they really wanted me to know. But like, yeah, I don't understand why you would take this out. Like, and my theory is, remember like Akuma's jump over in Tekken 7?
Yes.
So instead of nerfing that for Akuma, they took out jump overs for everyone. And Akuma could still do his jump over.
Yeah.
I think it's a case of they think this for Hwoarang was too strong. Instead of nerfing Hwoarang specifically, it's just okay, key charges have to, their utility has to change. But yeah, I'm now key charges are just for BM. You know, that's the only time you're gonna see a key charge.
I wonder what the utility is. Joker, what do you think about this change to key charging? I know you didn't really use key charges at all. There wasn't much setups you could do with Heihachi or Feng, but what's your take on this?
I really don't care. I just remember, like, I played Kwis before the Tekken talk, and he was just using this shit. And then I saw this change, and I was like, man, I wonder what Kwis is thinking. But yeah, I don't really mind this too much. It's whatever to me.
Okay, yeah, cool. Speed?
Whatever, man.
Interestingly enough, I don't really care. I didn't
use. You know what is weird? Hwoarang has a 10 frame counter hit launcher. If he key charges and you get hit, you are launched immediately from a 10 frame. Instead of just nerfing that, they nerfed the whole system, as he mentioned, and I mentioned before also. It's so jarring, like, that they do that across the board with everything. If they change something about a character in nerf-wise, they nerf everyone. If they buff something about one character, they buff everyone. If they fucking do a new system that no one has, they give it to everyone. Like, oh, is this weird, man? Nakatsu is so bad at designing games. It's actually laughable.
What, bro? You know, if a lot of times if your round came down to if you did or did not land a key charge setup, you weren't supposed to win that round in the first place. And if you did, win it, you know, if you did win the round, you probably didn't deserve it. I'm just throwing that one out there. Look, anyway, but on the other side, right? Like, I don't care too much about the key charge, but it was a bit weird for them to kind of just show it off. Like, when I've never been hit by a key charge and thought, yeah, this should be out of the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's never been something that was like a big like important thing, and I think some people liked it. So I don't know why they decided to not only take it off or like remove it, but showcase it in the Tekken Talk. And then the response was Harada's response to it, like people talking about the key charge thing, was also kind of wild to me, because in the response he basically said, yeah, key charge was something me and my buddy made up in like 5 minutes, and it wasn't supposed to be that big of a deal. So, you know, why do you guys care that much? And then he went on to say, like, yeah, the taunt's like the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Basically saying that, like, yeah, these things have been part of the game forever, and I know you guys are like super obsessed with this game, and like you guys love all the mechanics of it, but any of this could go, right? We could do this to anything that you like about this game right now, today. It could be gone. You know, there could be no more. What do you like about Tekken rounds? We can make it 2. We can do it. We can do it all. None of this matters, right? So I think that response was pretty wild. I think people might be overreacting to the key charge thing, but I think just going ahead and saying, yeah, none of these core mechanics matter at all to me, like, wasn't the move.
Yeah, I think it's not just the Hwoarang players. They showed Hwoarang here, but a lot of characters could actually do cool stuff with key charges. Like if you look at Asuka, she has a key charge tackle. She might still have it, to be fair, but she also is she was very dangerous in key charge. You know, if she could do Can's launcher and then just hit you with a 1+2, which is a safe mid launcher. And I think I was always very scared, but also very excited watching players go into key charge and try and make that comeback. And I remember Black Kazama, shouts to Black Kazama, a legendary Asuka player from Tekken 7. And this guy would always, when he's about to lose, key charge. And then he would do key charge, and then you'd be like, I need to attack him because I don't want to get hit. And then he'd rage art, bro. And it's like the most big brain thing ever, right? Like your key charge, in a key charge set, you can't actually block, right? And then this guy will see you run up, he'll see you run into him and he'll do a rage art, man. But it was fun to watch, you know, and his player expression. I want to read, Rip, obviously Rip, legendary commentator and player. He was not happy with this because, of course, he's been around for a very long time, and he's known to have a bit of a, he has a very unique playstyle with Law. You know, it's very fun to watch. It's very effective in the first 2 in tournaments. And he says key charge.
You just called him shit without calling him shit.
I mean, no, I said he's unique and he's very good in first 2, bro. I didn't say you shit. Look, he's instigated. Don't listen to him. We're not there yet. We'll get there soon. Key charge, no longer giving counter hit, is the worst change since removing jump over wall tech catches in Tekken 7. They took something that was situationally character specific and nerfed the entire game because of.
Yo, boys, listen, I need to go to the kitchen and make some eggs and stuff, because I need to keep my schedule with my proteins and shit. I'm fasting, after all. I keep the video playing and I watch it on my phone, yeah? So it doesn't take too long.
Again. So, I mean, he wasn't very happy with that one. Svi, I mean, you're the last person to ask about this. What do you make of the key charge thing?
I heavily agree, and again, it's one of those things I'll say that it's a difference between power level and design that I think needs to be looked at carefully. So, like, if the concern was that people are stealing rounds and people are getting robbed and like losing too quickly off of it, you could always have made a change. Like, if you get a key charge counter hit, the scaling goes crazy, right? Like you get less combo damage. But I heavily enjoy ideas or mechanics that come from players who think outside the box, right? And I think that you've had players who have formed an identity around they could do a crazy key charge setup. They have layers to that mind game. We see it occasionally in tournament. Like, I think Kunimitsu was doing that in the late stage Tekken 7, where she would key charge from a distance, and now her full screen dash is a lot scarier because the 2 counter hit options can launch you.
Mid and low,
yeah, and I think I'm a big fan of player expression, even if it may not be the most competitively viable thing, even if it's something that never shows up in tournament. I think, like, if you think of a couple friends playing like a Discord or something like that, and one of them shows off this setup because he'll know it'll work against his friend. I like ideas like that, you know? I think that it doesn't have to be about competition or like even like a funny clip that gets posted. I just like the idea of player creativity. And of the reduction of that is something I'm not a fan of. Again, regardless of how strong it is. It could be the weakest thing, it could be the strongest thing. I like the options to be creative.
Yeah,
I think one quality of life thing as well is like, say you're like labbing a new character and you want to see what something does on counter hit. You now have to pause, go to the menu, turn on counter hit. That's a small thing I just realized.
Yeah, it's just funny looking at you, Kayus, because you I can't get over that your debuffs, and we're watching you. The key charge setup's gone as well. It's not looking good, man, but it's okay, Kayus. You're gonna survive, man. It's all good. My opinion is very similar to Speakix, I think, and Fee. Like, I think that it's sad that you know, there are some players who had this kind of expression, and it's gone. I don't think key charge was a problem. I don't think anyone was complaining about it, so I think it's very strange to me that it was changed. But either way, let's see how it works out in season 2. But next up, we have here another change: realignment on combos when you sidestep. So this is something I'm very interested to see what you guys think. I've seen actually different opinions here. I've seen some people be very angry, some people be kind of whatever. That I don't care. But as you can see on the screen right now, ladies and lads, Jun is sidestepping and going for a launch, and you see Jin will actually realign so the axis of the combo is straight again, so that Jun doesn't drop the combo. And Jun is actually one of the characters that the back 4-2 actually would whiff sometimes, right? Fee, I'll actually start with you this time. What do you make of this change here of the realignment on the combos?
I didn't like it, and I want to get more info on how specifically it behaves. I wasn't able to really tell, was it the first launcher, like a multi-hit launcher that does it? Because they showed Lydia as an example, like sidewalking far, and then it realigned, and people were kind of like, what? But it already does that. We tested it in the current version. So it's a matter of how extreme is the realignment? How does it realign every hit mid combo? Is it just the launcher? There's a lot of details. But assuming it's the kind of autocorrection that I guess a lot of people are assuming, where every hit of the combo starts to realign it, I don't like it, because there are character-specific combos that benefit from being off-axis. Like,
right.
First thing came to my mind was like Lily do glide cancels. Like she can do a bunch of extra cancels if she's off axis to the right. So if they're able to keep that kind of thing, again, in line with creativity, regardless of power level, I think that's cool. One of the biggest complaints people in my comments were giving was that I should be rewarded for getting a sidestep. I read my opponent, give me my reward. And while I can agree with that sentiment, I think again, what has kept me really interested in Tekken is all of this extra depth and complexity and expression that comes from being aware of these tiny differences. If I'm off axis, I'll adjust my combo. And I don't think it's the end of the world if you have to do a 10 damage less combo because you're off axis a bit, or you might even get a higher damage combo, again, depending on the character. So I'm not a fan of the change.
So let me ask you a question back then, because you have coached a lot of newer players. Don't you think that it is a little bit... Let's say you teach a new player, completely new player, a bread and butter combo. They then go into ranked and they sidestep down forward 2 and they try that combo and it whiffs and they're like, what happened? I did the combo. Don't you think that could be quite annoying for new players, and they'll be like, this is a layer of complexity that you told them that you got to change your combo when you sidestep right or sidestep left. Don't you think that adds a layer of complexity that might be kind of off-putting for a new player?
That's something I thought of early, and anytime I learn a new character, I always ask for like an axis stable combo. So every time I taught a new player, the combos we would work on any axis. So I would accept that they would lose maybe some damage in order to alleviate that issue. I felt like it was a thing that was like we could alleviate with the teaching method. And in the same way, when I taught people combos, outside of their very first Tekken combo, I actually did it on a walled stage because I wanted them to see what could happen if you're doing the combo and it ends up hitting the wall.
Right.
And like maybe that's a few extra layers and a bit extra difficulty, but in games it happens all the time. So I thought if you have a combo that you know will work no matter of the axis, then your only concern becomes the wall. And if you care enough to milk out more damage and start to optimize, you can dig into that and there are resources. But for me, I thought it was a teaching thing. Like give people a stable combo as their bread and butter, give up the damage, let them figure out what they want later.
Speed, what do you make of this change here with the axis?
You know, for me, it's kind of the same as the key charge thing. I don't care that much, but like, you know, to me, it just means there's a different threshold of where my off-axis combo is necessary, right? So where if I was slightly off-axis before, I would have to do the off-axis combo. Now I have to be a little bit more off-axis to do the off-axis combo. And if it's only slightly off axis, I do my normal forward facing combo, right? It's not that the craziest change to me, but it's again one of those. It's like I said, like the key charge thing. They're just so willing to rip up like ways that people have already been playing the game, just kind of destroy like the skill that someone had gotten into. Or there's some people who who do spend their time like caring about these slightly off axis things, right? And it's just like seeing it kind of destroyed for very little reason is not cool to me, even though I personally don't care.
I see. Joker.
For me, I'm a bit conflicted. I don't like this change. I think, again, caters to like the newer players. I kind of liked being able to do and showcase like off-axis combos. I think it shows where a player is when it comes to their skill level. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this change, but again, I guess it makes sense since it's helping the newer players.
Okay, Kairos?
Kind of in the similar boat to Fee, and like my initial reaction is I'm not a big fan, but I want to see how extreme it is. Like if I'm literally like behind them and I launch them, are we going like full 180 and we're completely on axis? I need to see. And again, maybe it might actually like screw more things up, because in the Lydia example, there's a point where they went for a jab and it whiffed because they weren't like she realigned a bit, but she wasn't completely on axis, so like the jab whiffed, so it might make things worse in the long run. But again, it's one we just really have to just wait and see how it impacts our gameplay, how other people use it. Can we still do similar combos or same combos? But like I don't know, it's like maybe it's catering a bit too much to people who aren't willing to learn, if you know what I mean. Because like you should know, if you're off axis, you do the off axis combo, and like you should just be able to know that and do that. But I don't know, like, because sometimes I don't know, my opinions come from the point of, because I play this game so much, you should just know this, right? But like I don't know how like generally that works. But like it's like I don't know, just learn the off axis combo. Are they like, okay, people don't want to do that, we're going to take them away for everyone? It's like that's kind of the idea that I find worrying. But it's a thing we have to literally see for ourselves how it impacts other characters before we can like really make a judgment.
Yeah, and there's one more thing I wanted to kind of add. There's this idea that the developers have that if something requires an extra step to make work, then there's something wrong with it, right? There's this idea that like if I have to realign for my offense to work, this character needs a homing move, right? If I have to not play the immediate high of this string because there's no mid option, and instead of doing a high mid mix up, you do a finish the string or not finish the string kind of mix up, right? There's something wrong with this character. Give him a mid on the string, right? If your combo doesn't work because you're off axis, this combo actually is the system is actually broken. Let's fix that, instead of asking the player to do a different combo, learn a different combo, right? They want us to have to kind of do less to make things work how they think stuff is supposed to work. But doing stuff is a part of why we play a video game. We play a video game to sit down and do a bunch of stuff and see who wins, right? So I think taking out all these extra steps to making the characters, the designs, the combos work is just removing gameplay.
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons why I really love Tekken is actually because of that complexity, and I don't think it's over complicated. I think that it's like you said, if you're off axis, if you're on a certain axis, then just do that combo. I think my biggest fear is what Fee said, which is, for example, let's say Lily, when she's she needs to be slightly off axis in order to get the back one loops into the combo, right? And I hope that isn't gone, because that is something that, as a viewer, as a commentator, as a player, I love watching people do those things. It's like, oh wow, he just did an off-axis combo. That's super, super cool. I'm not saying that they're gone. Like Kay said, we don't know how influential this is going to be or how significant. But I do hope that people can still be expressive with their combos, and especially when they have this kind of side situations. Because again, I don't think that it was a big issue. I don't think that it was like something that was obviously a problem, for it to be fixed. I don't think it was broken for it to be fixed in the first place, right? It's like you could just do a different combo, and sometimes you could actually do a stronger combo if you're on a kind of weird axis. So I think one of the things I would love to say is just that I don't think that a character, like you said, Speak Up, just echoing what you're saying, that I don't think if a character has a weakness or some problem on the face of it, it doesn't need to be fixed. You know, I think
something requiring extra effort just shouldn't be thought of as broken.
Yeah, it just requires you to adapt. And I think that that's actually a beautiful thing, which once again gives a character that individuality, that kind of personality as well. It's like, okay, this character has this weakness, can't do the better button when you sidestep right at this angle or something. It's like, I think it's cool. So I wonder, we'll see how that change works out. Like Kaywa said, we're gonna have to wait and see. Now I have a bunch of right now we're watching on screen Raina versus Asuka. This was a quite interesting exhibition here because we saw quite a few things. We saw the punish, we saw a lot of new moves. So Asuka, that's clearly been buffed, right? Is there anything you guys want to mention about this when you watch this? Your first impressions or what?
I really liked this gameplay. It's really cool.
Really? What did you like about it, Joker?
It looks like aggressive and it looks very interactive, you know? Everyone's interacting with each other.
Really?
No, if I'm being serious, when I first saw this, I was like, is this real? I was surprised, like so many new moves into stance and stuff. It was crazy, man. Like, I don't know, even Asuka's like, there's a part where Asuka spiked them on the floor and there's like 2 hits on the floor, like I don't know what it was, like some volcano or some shit. I don't know what it was, bro. It was so weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it was the new. I think it's either 11 or 12 frame punish. I don't know what it is, if it's upward 1 or something. But in Heat, she can get like what, 50 something damage for.
Yeah, like I don't know what that was, man. It looked strange.
It was the new string, and then forward 2. When forward 2 is powered up with the Naniwa Gusto, it's like Jun's forward 2 being safe.
Yeah,
that's what
I think.
Like.
Raina's down tuned to Demon's Breath, though. We need to speak about that, man. That stuff was crazy, bro. I got a flashbang, bro. My eyes were hurting after seeing that for the first time, man.
What did you make of it, Fee, when you saw this for the first time?
The immediate things that stood out to me were Reina's new low, and then the Heat Smash low being usable at least twice, I think, based on how much meter it used up. And I talked about it a bit early in the talk, how I felt that Reina's identity was kind of built around having these insane mids and highs that cover many ranges and many speeds and have really good reward.
Yeah.
And I felt that the addition of these lows, I need more bitrate on Twitch. I felt that the addition of these moves were, again, alluding to what Speed said about if a character requires extra steps, that's a problem. And the extra steps Reina players were often running into was how to navigate the fact that her lows were very unsafe, aside from sidestep 4, which is like not that much reward, and how to make her mids and highs hit despite.
Do you guys think that was splash? We should do a bet, you know?
It definitely was.
I will not be able to see if it wall splatted or not. I felt like Reina's new lows and the ability to heat smash low twice out of stance was a change along those lines of a character has extra steps and clear weaknesses, and that is a problem. And to me, again, we'll have to see what the counterplay is. Maybe, for example, after her running forest block, you actually are able to side heat smash.
Yeah.
But even if that is the case, I felt that the cool part about Reina was I could watch a very, very good Reina and admire how they were able to succeed without those lows. Admire how they were able to find the low placement and like all their moves are pressuring the opponent, they're standing still and they get hit by like 3 health sweeps. I'm like, oh wow, to me that is so cool. And I want to acknowledge that it might be harder for players that are not literally at the top level to succeed at that. But again, the fun for Tekken for me has been making the progression towards that level. And Reina still has a lot of cool things to do, even if your mids aren't hitting right away in the first, right? There's still things to improve on and things to learn. Again, maybe it's too early to say. Maybe these lows are really bad.
Yeah.
But the feeling I got from watching it was that it felt like they were covering up more of her weakness.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like you got now a high crushing low, which high crushing lows are so valuable in any Tekken, you know. And I think depending on what it is on block and you know what it doesn't counter hit and all that kind of stuff, it's I think what I liked about Raina was that she could use unbreakable throws, and those would force the player to want to duck if they wanted to duck. You know, it's like you know you want to duck, but now you got these lows as well, and again, like you said, it's covering an option, a weakness that I guess she had, and I'm hoping that she's been nerfed in other ways as well. But looking at that down 2 move, bro, I don't know. Did it wolf smack? Look how far it went.
It's going to, man. It's going to.
See, bro, it's so crazy.
It's plus as well.
It's plus. Yeah. I think it's plus. They showed it was plus, right? So
and it does chip damage.
And she can go into stance afterwards, right? So she's going into the stance. I don't know, the sidestep stance. So, look, Asuka hasn't recovered yet. She hasn't recovered.
Asuka's still recovering.
Yeah, still recovering. That's Depot plus. Oh my god.
This is what we
I made some sausage with eggs.
So, as you know, I think we know the difference between a character that has a stance and like a stance character, right? Like there's a lot of characters have stances, but most of them aren't defined around like having a bunch of transitions and stuff like that. If you look at this, you'll see Raina do the new low and then go into the little backstep stance, whatever that's called, right? And then you also see her go into Sentai after the new low, right?
Yeah.
So, and the same thing off of Sentai 1. She can go into Sentai 1 and do the little backstep stance, or she can continue to go forward like she can right now. And then off of the Sentai 1, the spin, the homing move. They do like the homing move into the little.
Yo, can someone please give me a breakdown real quick? What happened?
Get ready for the next battle.
Azucena versus...
Round 1. Fight.
Little backstep stance. I don't know the name of that stance. So she can definitely go into multiple. That's a type one. Heaven's Wrath.
That shit is crazy. Yeah. You know the
amazing.
Heaven's Wrath one.
Yeah.
Right. Into the Unsoku is the name of that stance, right? So she can go into multiple stances from the same move, which is a mix up of its own. So you not only we have to guess what they're going to do when they're in the stance, you have to guess what stance they're going to go into when you deal with the move, and then also the Heaven's Wrath. She can go to Heaven's Wrath off of Sentai 1. Like everything, she has too many stance transitions, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully, right? I don't know what nerfs she got. So maybe the nerfs justify whatever else they're showing here.
Yeah.
But that would require a lot of nerfs because you know what I mean? We're seeing a lot of additions to her character design, which means it'd be a lot of nerfs required to make that balance out.
Right, yeah. We're hoping that Raina has been nerfed in other ways so that these strengths that we're seeing from her in this first one can be, I guess, justified, if that's the right word. You've been a bit quiet here. What are you thinking, man?
The thing is, there was one part where Raina did heat engage. I think Raina did heat engage did the full crouch version, but still did a running move afterwards. And I feel like that extra... Like it's like, because I take Anna for example. She can do heat engage, and she's almost always going to go into crouch, right? Like into crouch. But then she can also have access to the running moves out of that, and obviously she has the running slide is the thing. It's like, why? I feel like if you go into crouch, you shouldn't still have access to the running moves as well for the added additional plus frames. You know, from like doing a slash. I think it was here. Yeah, here. So she did the crouch version. She did the little crawl. And then did running move afterwards, and it's like, okay, so I have to worry about a crouch mix up, but then also then doing the running move as well and keeping that pressure. And you know, there's like, just when I first saw this gameplay, there was just so much going on, and like Asuka, that new punish, and
that low also guarantees something you just saw there on counter.
Yeah, that's like
actually, didn't it guarantee what's the Sen option? Sen mids, which means she can do Sen 3 then, right? Because Sen 3 is faster.
Yeah.
So she could do Sen 3 for heat engage after this.
That's pretty cool.
I want to add also, having worked with so many like straight up beginners to Tekken, that even dealing with Reina's forward 2 into Sentai stance, which was one branch and very fixed options, was very hard to train them to be able to handle that. I think we take for granted how we can process that as like legacy Tekken players. We know this stance, we know these options, we can compartmentalize it. Raina is spinning, and Raina already has a lot of animations that look very similar, especially to a brand new player. Now that she has extra branching options off of new moves, I think that, again, accounting for what the experience will be like for the player on the other side of Raina is something that may not be getting enough attention. Even if there is reasonable counterplay, and maybe it's not like a balancing issue, is it like what is the experience like for somebody just picking up the game? It's like, oh, she's spinning at me. I guess maybe I'll hit my button. My jab got evaded. I won't hit a button. I'll sidestep,
Listening to them talk, I don't think they care. I don't think that they consider the part where you start looking at what your opponent is doing and trying to deal with it as a critical part of the Tekken experience. It's because right now they're obviously the focus on the new players and stuff like that.
Raina has the worst win rate. Why do you think that is? Why do you think Raina has the worst win rate? What led to the statistics being like that? I want to see his train of thought, because nothing is truly free with her. Wrong. The reason why Raina's win rate is low is also the same reason why Jin's win rate is low. You wouldn't make that argument for Jin. The reason why Raina's win rate is low is because she attracts low elo players more than high elo players. The low elo players somehow tend to go for Raina and Jin because they like them visually, and that makes the popularity of the character, and that drags down the win rate and pushes up the loss ratio. When you look in higher ranks, that looks then completely different. So just because you look of the statistics and you see like plain and simple win rate low, it's a very one-dimensional approach to that information. You got to understand which demographic of the player base leads to the win rate being low, and that is the low elo players. Jin is a monster in this game and his win rate is low. That's because all the fanboys, they go for Jin.
That right? They talk about the act of learning attack patterns, learning to do them, and making the other guy deal with it. Never have they spoken with learning to deal with it, right? They never talk about how trying to introduce players into understanding what their opponent is doing. They never talk about how to introduce players into learning to neutralize what's happening to them before they go into their own attack patterns. It's more of a they see in the game as just attack versus attack, right? So if you get new attacks, you should be fine if your opponent gets new attacks, and everyone should be happy if they all get new attacks, because we're all doing attacks at each other as opposed to dealing with them and paying attention to what's happening to you.
How would you remedy that?
How would I remedy that? It's a design choice by the developers. I think they have to just recognize that the Tekken experience, when you learn, first you learn all your moves, right? You learn all your moves. You learn how to do your attacks to the other guy, make the other guy deal with mix-ups. The game will get stale after that if you aren't supposed. If you don't go into the part of the game where you learn how to deal with what the other guy's doing. You make your attack. You learn how to make your attacks really strong, and then you learn how to make the other guy's attacks weak, right? That's the part of the game that you get to after you've been playing for just a couple months, even, right? Yeah. And that's where a lot of the player base gets to, and that's where they start getting frustrated, and that's where they start getting annoyed. So even if they're happy in their first couple of months, right? Eventually they'll have to start dealing with the other guy, and they have to recognize that as a crucial part of the player experience.
And why is this game philosophy now bad for the players that want to pick up the game also? There's a small balance between making characters' attacks so strong that you can get easy rewards and immediate success, and then going overboard with that, making it so broken that they get overly successful and end up at a plateau all of a sudden where they can't get out of it and they don't understand why. Because once they reach that specific point, they need to learn the things that are actually difficult about the game. So when you push up the rank inflation by gameplay philosophy, that will just take the frustration of the players and that will occur, but it will delay it. So the frustration that you will get by hitting a milestone and then not getting further and then needing to learn new things, that happens very late in Tekken 8, and then it comes all of a sudden. But before, it was like step by step by step by step by step. Now you can skip too much.
I see. Okay. No, I agree with you. I agree. I think that for me, bro, and Joker knows this, yeah. I still don't know what Raina's doing, bro. This character is spinning around doing this, and every time I see a Raina player and I'm sat next to Joker, I'm like, Joker, is that a new move? Nah, she's had that since the beginning, bro. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I always see something new every time I watch a Raina player. So yeah, I mean, now there's, like you said, speed. Like we actually saw it in the video that she can transition into her stance from more moves now, and I think it's just so much visual noise. I think it's scary. Like, and I do hope that the nerfs do balance that out, but I am not. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna help too much. But yeah, I mean, Raina looks very, very strong, as does Asuka. Multiple characters here. I don't want to show all of them because we're gonna be here forever. But Azucena, got some new buffs, and I think that there were people that were not too happy with some of the stuff that she had, like the running 3-2 into stance now. I know, Joker, we were speaking about this before, and she has a counter hit launcher which is +2 that looks like it crushes as well from lib stance. Just overall, what do you guys think about Azucena and the changes that she got here? Yeah, Kavis, come.
I mean, running
every character that they showed, they just showed a plus frame on block into stance 50-50. Azucena, Jin, Raina, everyone has it now. Everyone has the same. The exact thing that we didn't like, they give it to everyone. It makes me so angry. Oh,
running 3-2 into stance. It's not as bad. Like when I thought about it, it's not as bad as what I was first. Because again, she shouldn't be able to loop it, I guess, if she goes into stance. Because she has to cancel stance and then run 3-2 again. And post heat engager, Azucena players started doing forward 3+4 now, and then doing that into stance. So it's going to be pretty much the same situation after he engaged running 3-2 into stance.
Raina got down to 1+2 in heat, which is plus on block and mid.
I think what makes it annoying is like you won't be able to like check with dig jab because she has the auto low parry from the stance. And then if you try and jab, she has the auto evade. So it's like, okay, it's kind of makes an annoying mind game there. That new low looks weird. Like, sorry, what's a mid? The new
that's a mid.
That's a mid.
Not a low.
she gets low. It looks weird. Like the animation, like it looks so weird. But like, counter hit launch is gonna evade quite a bit. She really evades a lot in the starts. I don't know how that really changes.
Me when I have a nightmare and kick the blankets off. Nice one. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, the new full crouch low is annoying, especially because of heat engage change, and then like was it +5, and then there's more stars mix-ups, and it's just more Tekken 8, I guess. It's more Tekken 8.
Yeah,
that's the best way to describe it.
I hope we see another list of changes with her. Like, the sand is no longer auto low parries or something, right? What if that's the case, right? That's kind of what I meant when I said I can't really form too much of an opinion.
Yeah, we can't
before I see the whole list of changes.
Because those changes might be absolutely fair given if we look comprehensively at the character, at all the changes, right? So we can't sit here and be like, oh, in the context of how Azucena is now, if we don't change anything else, then yeah, of course. I mean that's crazy, but she may have been changed in other ways as well, like Katarina was back from season 2 into season 3. She was given some stuff, but she was also nerfed heavily in other ways as well. So let's just wait and see what that is. But Devil Jin, I think a lot of people expected Devil Jin to get some buffs, and he got a new enhanced hell sweep and down forward 1-2 13 frame punish now, natural combo. I see, Speed, you're not happy about that one, it looks like. What do you think of the Devil Jin changes?
Okay, so I have no problem with the down forward 1-2. I had no problem with them going crazy into his going more to his crazy playstyle. The problem I have is, why does he have down forward 1-4? Or whatever the input is, right? I don't think every high string needs a mid. It doesn't. It's not, you can just not do the string. You can just accept that it's risky to do the string when you do.
That is very true. You know, when you have a high string, like when you have its second hit, okay, and you want to extend that string, then the opponent will fuzzy guard. That means he's gonna go down quickly and stand up. The fact that he does this gives you frames, plus frames, even though you don't have any. This is called mental frame. It's a deep mind game. You can either do it, not do it, etc. Do it on block and then do like a complete other move instead of the follow-up, etc. But they want you to have a mid extension to it, so it's a mix-up. They don't like these mind games that go beyond mid or high or mid or low. And I don't know why.
The string. I don't know why we always need to have like that little. Yeah, by the way, there's a mid here, and when the mid is just minus 13 or something, right?
Yeah.
That kind of annoyed me a bit. Overall, they're turning our Mishimas. They're like doing the worst to what were previously our fundamental characters, right? Those were like our Ryus, our Shotos of this game, where they were like the guys you would like. You'd look to Mishima players if you wanted to see the solid fundamentals. Now Raina's in stance and Devil Jin is making people guess off of down forward one and going into fly and doing unblockable highs, and it's rough, man.
Guys, I'll be very honest with you. The only reason why I could keep playing Tekken 8 was because Kazuya was what he still, like what he is describing, Kazuya was that still. If they turn Kazuya into something like that and give him even more in season 2, even if you love a character and you want to win with him, after some time, if they overbuff the character, you can't even appreciate your own win. And I think we are getting close to that point where Kazuya one of the hardest characters in the game, will lose his identity. And bro, I'm so scared of that. Like, if they buff Kazuya with these unreasonable things and stance mix-ups and you don't need to wave dash anymore, what is left of Kazuya? You can throw him in the bin like everyone else.
Joker?
I wasn't liking it.
As a Mishima player, what do you...
I think it's a really good change. They just want more Mishimas in tournaments. It makes sense, honestly. They
want cooldowns to win? Is that what it is?
Yeah, they want cooldowns to win. If I'm being honest, I don't like it. I hate, again, a move. We just seen a new move into stance again. I don't like it at all. The Hell Sweep one is insane to me, honestly. The Hell Sweep one for me is... It makes no sense. It does how much damage? 60 damage?
We don't know if that's optimal, by the way, but 60 damage, yeah.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. We don't even know if that's optimal, and it doesn't take that much of the heat bar now.
Yeah, I thought about this already. A Devil Jin Hell Sweep combo is gonna do around 90 damage.
Again, you saw how much of the heat bar it just took there, and we haven't optimized it. And again, this comes back to what I was saying months ago. Heat consumption
with wall or heat dash, you see. Like, Devil Jin is in heat when he does the Hell Sweep. He can still additionally heat burst. He can get a wall split. He can get a floor break. It's really cooked.
For characters is so important, and it just feels like they haven't learned their lesson, honestly. Like, why can he do a Hell Sweep that takes that much? Like, it doesn't even take much, Like,
bro, look at the heat.
It doesn't even take. And why does this combo look like it's from a mod move list extractor? Blah blah blah, bro. Whatever it's called.
Ends with Heaven Gate. That's gonna floor break.
Yeah,
it's gonna floor break.
Yeah.
Yep.
They need to. I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And I love Mishimas. I love watching other Mishima players play, but I'm not a fan.
But again, why are you not a fan? Is it just because the damage is too much, or like, let's say if the heat consumption was half the bar, would you be okay with it then?
Yes, if it was half the bar, I'd understand. But you're telling me in heat, I'm gonna have to hold 2-3 Hell Sweeps potentially, and then die. Like well. CD1 plus 2.
You ain't holding 3. You hold maximum 2.
Upward 3+4, 1+2. Like, nah, man. And it's just sad because I just see so much Devil Jin downplay and complaining on Twitter every day, and I guess the developers are listening to them.
That feels like a Heat Smash level move.
Yeah, it does. Look at the damage.
80,
Rage Drive.
like the Devil Jin optimizers were saying they could probably get 80 at least.
Let Momo Dog touch this move, man.
Yeah, Momo Dog said 82 or something like that, and I was like, so you're telling me they could do that twice? I don't have enough HP for
More
that.
than twice.
More than twice.
You can do that 3 times probably.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I don't have enough HP to deal with that, man. So I don't
And the scariest part about it is it consumes like an... It consumes basically nothing, yeah? And while he is doing the combo out of this insane hell sweep, the bar freezes. You can probably do it 4 times. And if you hit... if you get into heat with a heat engager, I wouldn't be surprised if you can do it 5.
I have to say, Horang can only do 2 hell sweeps right now as well. Like,
Oh
I
my
feel
God.
like let him do.
He had to get the He had to get the Horang downplay in there as well.
Can I get extra hell sweep if Devil Jin gets extra of these? That would be nice.
Honestly, I think heat consumption, and again, something I want to mention is the low heat. The previously low heat smashes.
Yes.
Like, you're telling me you're going to be able to do that multiple times as well. Like, that is crazy to me.
So yeah, that puts us beautifully onto the next point then. So now
It
previously
wasn't the
moves that
main
were
man, it was the community. And, bro, I'll be very honest with you. The main man, he said, I know his talking points. He loves Devil Jin in Tekken 8. He never wants him to go back to Tekken 7 Devil Jin. What do you want? Down Forward 1 simulator again. Devil Jin shouldn't get any good pokes. He should just get more gimmicks. Well, they gave him more gimmick. Go watch his own videos where he talks about it. I don't make this up.
low heat smashes are now enhanced moves. As you can see here, Jun has multiple moves actually. She has been given from stance forward 1+2. Previously, you actually couldn't go in stance, but now she can go into a Miare, which is the stance with the projectile, and can do a +6 homing move from it. And she can also go into Izumo, where she can do the previously low heat smash. And forward 1+2, by the way, is a chip move. You can see that it's chipped Jin, and it's +6 on block. So they have this is a big change to Jun. Now she can go into multiple stances, and as you can see here, I'm actually going to show you. She went into Miare and did this homing move, which is 20 frames and +6. And if you keep watching, you'll see her do forward 1+2 into she does it, but we'll see that she'll go into Izumo and then also do the low heat smash, which is now not a heat smash. Speed kicks, you made a big reaction there. What do you think?
Oh man, you were listing out so many aggressive properties on June. I'm so glad that this character with cans and back 3 and up forward 3 and forward 2 with punish and everything, all her parries and her sabakis can now also be a stance mix-up character for us. I'm glad. It really said, the June players, they were really struggling out here. They're always really confused about what to do.
Well, actually, on the Tekken Talk, it was said that Jun previously has had trouble opening up opponents. That's a quote from them. Yeah.
I also had a problem opening up June, so I'm glad for her.
It's one running through. It's stance into stance into stance, and
unbelievably strong now and obnoxious because of the stance stuff. We don't know if Zafina has been nerfed in other ways, but even though that, I feel like there's very little counterplay to the back 1+2. But yeah, moving on to the next thing. I think
joke about this shit is insane, man. Like, why are you getting punished for breaking a throw, man? It makes no sense. So what are we meant to do? Just duck it? Is that the game plan now? Just duck throws? I don't like this at all, man. Honestly, I don't like this one.
Okay, a straightforward answer. FDX. Wait, what did you say? Sorry, you think
he's muted.
You're muted.
He's muted.
Sorry, I have nothing to add. I was trying not to laugh too much in the mic.
Okay. Yeah.
I have nothing to add. Okay. I pretty much think the exact same thing.
Speed, you've been laughing like crazy, bro. What's up?
This is a really bad change. Like it's actually I can't imagine anything good about this. I just don't know. I don't know what I don't know what the direction. I don't know what the idea was. They were like, you made him hold the grab, but he broke it anyway. You know how hard it is to break a grab?
Yeah.
That's a whole like it's easy. We over time it becomes easier for us, right? But like how much demand. I coach.
Okay, let me give you a good example, and the pro players, they will recognize this. When you play the game very actively for a prolonged amount of time, you stop playing the game, and then you watch someone else play the game. And that person gets hit by a throw. Your finger twitches. I kid you not. That's how hard it actually is to break throws. I have that so many times. I look someone else's stream, he fights against King, he gets thrown, and my finger does this automatically. I'm not even surprised anymore when that happens. But imagine what kind of a crazy muscle memory you got to have for this situation to be able to break those throws, and then getting punished on top of that for that. It makes no fucking sense. Like, if you want to implement chip damage, then why doesn't the person doing the throw get the chip damage? Why does the person that breaks it get it?
New player, and they talk about throws. They're like, yo, you have to fight this character to learn how to react to throws. I'm like, yeah, here, this is a good way to learn how to react to the throws. This is all this stuff, right? It's something you practice over time. You'll get better at over time. It'll feel really good when you start to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to feel good when they start to do it, because now they're going to take damage, right? In Heat, the other guy's going to be grabbing them. They're going to be like, oh man, I know how to break throws. I did all the time learning how to break throws. I'm still taking damage. I want to duck. And they're going to get mad at the game. This makes no sense for anybody.
I think it would have been cool if King took damage for us to breaking the throw. That because the throws are already really difficult to break. The giant swing, dash giant swing, and shining wizard itself is really hard to break, right? And if King took damage for you successfully breaking a throw, then that gives us like some reward. It's not a crazy reward, but it's some reward, right? It's recoverable health anyway, and it's only a small amount anyway. So I think it would be nice, because now King gets like reward. Well, I guess anyone does it. I heard this is a universal change, so this is like not just King. Everyone, no matter what. So I guess they want to. I could say the only reason they would have done this is because they want to encourage people to use.
Oh shit! I didn't know that everyone has chip damaging throws now, even Kazuya. I don't know, man. I don't feel so well anymore. I wanna get off.